What's going on, gamers? Welcome to Tricky Gym. Hopefully you're having a fantastic evening and are ready for some Gym Leader Challenge action. That's what we got going on tonight. Pokemon cards, GLC style. Custom Pokemon TCG format, where you can only play one of each card in your deck, except for basic energy. There are no rule box Pokemon. Your deck has to be mono-type, and you can use any card from black and white onward that abides by those rules. For more information, you can always visit gymleaderchallenge.com, the best place to learn about the format. We've got players gathering, getting ready for GLC League here at Full Grip Games in beautiful Akron, Ohio. They're not sitting close to me today. Why? They're sitting far away, all over here. Hello, friends. Hello. We got some visitors from out of town as well. Got to meet them before the broadcast started, which was awesome to hear about. Just different folks who play and appreciate Gym Leader Challenge. And tonight we've got another entry into our Gym Leader Challenge Championship series, which has been going on for the past year. If we take a look at Mr. Benjamin Morse's website, morsemakes.com, we can follow along with the progress for this year so far. There have been 45 weeks played. The seasons last an entire year. So that is most of the year, and our season will end at the end of July. So we've got this Thursday, and then how many more Thursdays do we have? 4, 5, something like that. Yes, we've got how many Thursdays in July? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Thursdays in July. So 5 weeks remaining. We will have 50 Gym Leader Challenge League nights this year. We ended up having like a few that got gobbled up this year by like holidays, right? Because you always get Thanksgiving's always on a Thursday, so that's like a GLC League night. Then we also had Christmas and New Year's were on GLC nights on Thursdays. So this year we've got 50 weeks. Of course, Alex Carpenter is the badge leader right now with 6 badges. But there are some players hot on his trail. We've got Anthony Saya with 5 badges right now. And Chase Giusti just won this past week with Grass, putting him at 4 badges. So we've got Hunter and Ben and Chase all at 4 badges, who could conceivably catch up to Mr. Carpenter, because we've got 5 weeks in July, one tournament today, so that's 6 potential badges, 6 more badges to hand out. If Tony Saya can win one of those while Alex Carpenter gets denied for the rest of the weeks, then he will tie it up and force a playoff for the title of league champion. And then if Ben, Hunter, or Chase can cop 2 of the final 6 weeks, then they will also force it to a playoff. So things are certainly heating up as the year winds to a close. I've got, let's see, Rotom Collector says, oh, is the stream like bugging out for people? Had to swap from YouTube because the live stream kept getting stuck in a loop. Oh, goodness. Are things bugging out then? Is the stream not working? That is unfortunate. I've never had this problem before. I'm wondering if it is the Restream software that I'm using, or any of that. try refreshing. I've got Scon over on YouTube says it's okay. I've got multiple people on YouTube saying that the stream is fine. So raise your hand. Let me know if you're having a problem with the stream. All right, we've got people on YouTube saying that things are okay. All right, cool. Well, that sounds good because round one is getting started, folks, and we've got a brand new setup going on at Full Grip Games, which I cannot wait to show you folks. We got Chase and Peter. Looks like a great turnout tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20-ish players. So we'll be a 5-rounder this evening. And the debut of our new Pokemon chairs. You can see those lads testing them out a little bit, leaning back, getting comfortable. You could see that they're very much enjoying themselves. We've got JD and John Patterson, Joe DiMatteo and John Patterson on stream for round number 1. And look how good these freaking chairs look, guys. John Patterson breaking in the new Pikachu Secret Lab Titan chair. And then we've got JD breaking in the new Gengar limited edition Secret Lab chair. Very excited about these. We've actually got a third one on the way. Yes, it is also a battle of the mustachioed men. A battle of the mustache. Yes. Who will win in the battle of the stash? Will it be John Patterson or JD? Who will it be? 20 players tonight. Going to be metal versus water on stream round 1. Now let's get some hype going for our first round. Here we go. I'm very thrilled about the new setup that we've got going on with the chairs. We've also got a new event clock downstairs. Which everybody can see. So it's mounted to the front of the stage. So players competing in our tournaments can see how much time is remaining in the round while they're playing, which obviously is very useful. We do play 40-minute rounds here at Gym Leader Challenge League Night for a single game Swiss, which you would think is plenty of time to complete the game of Pokemon cards, but you would be surprised at how often players can go to time. It's like you get this idea in your head like, oh, I've got 40 minutes. It's pretty much as much time as I could possibly need. People still end up tying. Joe Rowe asking, is third chair always judge chair, or could third chair pivot to a player chair? Wondering what the third Pokemon is. The third chair will always be a judge chair. Joe, are you asking if you could steal the judge chair and roll it out to the floor? All right, round number 1 getting underway. We've got JD on the left and John on the right. The third chair that we've ordered is an Eevee chair. It is the Eevee design of the of the Secret Lab chairs. So we'll have Pikachu, Gengar, and Eevee. John opening with Galarian Meowth, which evolves into Galarian Berserker, Galarian Berserker, makes it so that your metal Pokemon do additional damage, 20 additional damage. It's also got this evolutionary roar ability, allows you to evolve straight up into Galarian Berserker. John using Level Ball, going to go search out Jirachi. Jirachi, a great way to start the game with its Stellar Wish ability. Stellar Wish allowing you to look at the top 5 cards of your deck and place one of them into your hand. One of the trainer cards there into your hand. And John's got the escape rope to move that Jirachi into the active spot so it can use Stellar Wish. Does put itself to sleep. Finds Artisan. That's a good find, as it can allow John to go search out another basic Pokemon, maybe a Varoom to evolve into Revavroom. Jirachi with Revavroom makes up a strong core of this metal deck to get you up and rolling. We do see that John has got a bunch of metal energy and a fire energy in his hand. He is running that Heatran. The Heatran has an attack. It does 80 damage plus 80 more if it's got any fire energy attached to it. So the idea is to accelerate some fire energy to it and get it swinging for 160 damage. Does require that you play those fire energy, though, which can be accelerated with Crispin or with TM Turbo Energize. But it looks like the Artisan is just going to grab Iron Crown, good old faithful. You could pretty much always depend on Iron Crown's deleting slash getting buffed against water decks, especially when they open Hisuian Basculin. Hisuian Basculin, great opener for the water deck. It's got the Gather the Crew attack, which can be used for free. Allows you to search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, put them straight onto the bench. Deleting Slash does 40 damage plus 80 more if the opponent has 3 or more benched Pokemon. So if JD gets 3 bench Pokemon into play, Deleting Slash will be doing a boosted 120 damage. And that 120 from the Iron Crown is like a little short of some key knockouts. It's not going to be taking a KO on that Whalmer, for instance. The Whalmer has 130 hit points. A lot of Pokemon have 130 hit points. But with the Galarian Berserker, you can use Galarian Berserker's ability in order to boost your damage output. The Steely Spirit ability can make it so that Iron Crown is doing enough damage to take relevant KOs, like on the Whalmer. And it looks like JD will probably be filling up the bench. Does have Whalmer, Remoraid, and Iono. Put John's hand to the bottom of the deck. Both players will get 6 cards. JD's first 4 cards looking pretty terrible, to be honest. And all 6, yeah, JD does not have a very good 6-card hand off of that Iono. Did find Buddy Buddy Poffin, so actually has no problem getting as many Pokemon into play as he wants on turn 1. I mean, is going to be able to fill his bench all the way to 5 with Gather the Crew, but doesn't have any live cards in hand. All he needs is a way to search out an evolution Pokemon, and he's off to the races. He can go get Octillery or Drizzile and then kind of combo off from there. But I think I saw Energy Retrieval, Night Stretcher, no real live cards for JD to play for next turn. So he's going to be hoping on a top deck, or for John to play a card that mixes his hand up. John does play Enhanced Hammer, though, so going to be removing that splash energy from the Whalmer, setting JD back and energy attachments. We'll see what else John has in the rest of this hand. Does still have a Stellar Wish. Uses Artisan to go get Varoom. Looks like he's got Counter Energy. Off the Stellar Wish, finds Ultra Ball, which is not going to be great this turn. Could be good next turn to go get Revavroom. I don't know that John is getting the turn 2 attack. He's already used his Escape Rope. Would need a card like Arven to pivot the Jirachi. Go find the escape board. If John is playing escape board, I know some of the guys were not running a skateboard in their metal lists to be able to retreat the Jirachi even when it's asleep. A skateboard was printed alongside Jirachi. I guess I think skateboard came out in Ultra Prism. Is that accurate? Oh, it looks like Volkner. Is that that's not a Volkner. What the heck supporter is that in John's hand? And just going to be an attached to Iron Crown and pass. I cannot tell who that supporter is, if anybody in the chat knows. Could be a scoop up net to Kyogre. Quick ball away the Basculin. Can go get another basic Pokemon, and maybe JD is going to start thinning the deck with Wave Summoning. It looks like that is going to be the play, right? Just not the fastest start from JD, but every time you thin a water energy out of the deck, you increase your odds of drawing into a live card. No, okay, that is the new metal supporter that puts two metal energy from your discard pile onto one of your metal Pokemon. It's that guy. Yeah. The new fella. Philippe, I think is his name, right? John also playing Prism Energy as an option to potentially power up this potentially power up the Heatran. I see John has searched out Revavroom, has used Jirachi. It looks like Bronzor getting grabbed. Town Store. Oh, that's a stadium. Go get a tool card out of the deck. John, is your Jirachi asleep or no? At this point, I just trust that you're playing fair. It looks like John does not have access to a skateboard. Might not even play it. But it's going to use Rumbling Engine to fill his hand first. And then can retreat the Jirachi with the Float Stone since it's not asleep. I think he flipped the coin to wake up the Jirachi. He flipped it a little late. He forgot to use it, I think, or forgot to flip for sleep, but coming into his turn. So then fix that, and is going to use the Galarian Berserkers or use the Galarian Meowth's ability to go search out Galarian Berserker, and then Galarian Berserker has the Steely Spirit ability, which will boost Iron Crown up to 140 damage, allowing Iron Crown to use Deleting Slash, take the knockout on Kyogre. JD desperately needs a top deck. Found Octillery. Okay, so that will draw some cards, but some of these other cards are going to have to be assigned. You've got, the Town Store is actually really nice because it allows JD to go search out the Float Stone. So good catch there from JD. Now, notably, JD does not have a Snom or a Frigibax in play. So, might have a little bit of a tough time getting the necessary energy into play in order to power up his dudes. Muscle Band on a Sobble feels really good. Yeah, and then does find Irida off of the Abyssal Hand. So we'll be able to use Irida or Ball Guy. Ball Guy might even be better if Hisuian Heavy Ball is in the deck, and we see that that is the first grab, as JD certainly is going to want to go get Snom or Frigibax. If they are both prized, that is quite bad. And I have to imagine that that is the scenario we're looking at, as I see both Baxcalibur and Frostmoth are represented in JD's deck. And we're going to get to look at those prize cards right here. Oh, yeah. There they are. Frigibax and Snom. You idiots. What are you doing there in the prize cards? But Hisuian Heavy Ball allowing JD to go fetch them. And the question is, how does JD buy a turn now? He's already down one prize, which is okay. If the water deck is good at anything, it is good at creating 2-for-1 scenarios as the game wears on. I mean, Wailord will certainly help to orchestrate that. As Wailord is not easily KO'd. It's got a whopping 240 hit points. Looks like it's going to be Drizzile, Shady Dealings. We'll go find Professor's Letter. Professor's Letter can allow JD to put an energy into play. And I think an energy onto Drizzile feels pretty good, but who are we sacking here, right? Because the Iron Crown is doing 140 damage. I would have really liked to see JD play the... I would have really liked to see JD play the Wishy-Washy. Wishy-Washy is just like literally crafted for this kind of moment, right? Where you have to like sack somebody. So you just send up Wishy-Washy. But it looks like JD maybe not playing the Wishy-Washy. But Wishy-Washy is just like the biggest little meat shield that you could just throw into the active spot to soak a hit in a moment like this. And if you're JD now, you are just praying for no Parallel City and no Guzma, no Boss's Orders, right? So you don't want any of that. JD has the potential to pop off next turn with the Snom on the bench, but I do disagree with JD putting the water energy on the Wailmer. I think the water energy needs to be on the Drizzile this turn, because if John uses Guzma to bring up Snom and knock it out, then JD is down another turn of not attacking. But by attaching the water energy to the Drizzile, you say, like, no matter what you do, I can attack next turn. Because if you Hex Maniac and take the knockout, then I can attach energy and use Inteleon to take a KO. If you Guzma up my Snom, I can attach an energy to Inteleon and use Aqua Bullet for 140 damage. And if you Guzma on my Drizzile and knock it out, then I can evolve Snom into Frostmoth an accelerated energy to a Whale Lord and then take a KO. So the water energy on the Whalmer is a misplay from JD. I really want to see him put that water energy on the Drizzile for the reasons I just mentioned. It was a little bit too risky putting the energy on the Whalmer. You're not properly protecting your board by doing that. But fortunately for JD, John just has to play N, which shuffles both players' hands into the deck, and JD's going to get a fresh 6 cards to work with. So might be able to stabilize after this next turn. John is guaranteed another KO, as the Iron Crown will be swinging into the Kyogre for 140 damage, thanks to the Galarian Berserker. But not... There is the Metal Core Barrier in John's hands, so that's kind of an interesting card. Metal Core Barrier is a tool card that only lasts for a turn, but it makes it so that your metal Pokemon that it's attached to takes 70 less damage from attacks. Could slap that onto the Iron Crown to give it a temporary effective 200 HP. But if a Wailord is coming next turn, then that 200 HP is not going to make much of a difference. Metal Core Barrier does go really well on like Zamazenta, because Zamazenta has the ability which decreases damage done to it by 30, and then in combination with the Metal Core Barrier, you're decreasing damage dealt to the Zamazenta by 100, which is pretty good. Let's see if JD can finally put something together to catch back up in this game. Down 2 prizes now, but that is no problem for a fella like Wailord. Now, if you are JD, you do have to worry about the fact that John could go Zamazenta, and Zamazenta, with the Steely Spirit ability activated, will be dealing 240 damage with Retaliate. I'm sure that's part of John's plan in this game, is to eventually slay a Wailord with a Steely Spirit boosted attack. I also worry, to be honest, I think JD pulled it all, right? I think he just found it. I think he found Evolution Incense and Frostmoth. But I was a little bit worried about JD just whiffing there, because he has played Ball Guy, so he's like kind of thinned all those ball cards out of his deck. Dive Ball, Ultra Ball, I'm pretty sure all those cards have been played. So JD did just rip it off of the N. He found everything he needed in order to launch a Wailord attack this turn. And JD did just... All right, we're going Inteleon. Is there another... Okay, there is an Ultra Ball still in the hand and Pokepad in the deck. Okay, so going Inteleon here. Inteleon, gonna get Town Map too, and I guess that makes sense. I was questioning why JD decided to Evolution Incense for the Inteleon and use Shady Dealings on Inteleon to go get the Wailord, and it looks like JD also wants to be flipping the prizes over for the rest of the game. JD's prizes are pretty terrible. I think he prized Wishy Washy too. Let's see, Rare Candy. Yep, and the Wishy Washy is in the prizes. Tate and Lie's in the prizes too, so a switch card there. It's going to be good to be able to fetch those cards out of the prize cards. I think Town Map is certainly going to be a solid play from the Inteleon. Maybe if JD can get a little bit of extra draw into energy, I might like to see the Inteleon loaded up with a single energy too. Just it kind of like protects you a little bit if you can get 4 energy onto the Wailord, get 1 or 2 energy onto Inteleon. Just have that. Yep, and it looks like that's what JD is doing. He's got the backup energy already equipped to the Inteleon, and at this point you're starting to feel pretty safe, right? You're like, I can kind of cruise through the rest of the game, at least for the next couple knockouts, right? Inteleon doling out 140 damage. Wailord doling out 210 this turn to the Iron Crown. Good thought from John not putting that Metal Core Barrier into play. It would not have mattered, as Wailord clears that 200 hit points threshold. with its hydro pump attack. 4 energy attached. That is 210 damage. JD going to take his first prize of the match. Gets to hand select it thanks to town map. It looks like it is going to be that Wishy-Washy. Agree with that move. Wishy-Washy, it has an annoyingly high amount of HP. 180 hit points. Can be very tough for decks to deal with. Even cards like Heatran miss that knockout. Now, the thing is that with Steely Spirit, it doesn't miss that knockout. So maybe the Wishy-Washy will be a little easier to deal with than I had anticipated. One thing about John's list, though, is it looks like he is not playing the Metang. So he is kind of taken out the Metang line for the Galarian Berserker. And that means that he could have a little bit of a difficult time powering up the attackers that he needs in order to win this game. We notice he also does not have the escape board on this Jirachi, right? So the Jirachi cannot use Stellar Wish and then retreat for free, right? Like if John decides to use Stellar Wish, he's going to have to play a supporter like Guzma or Birdkeeper to move it. So even though there is the potential for John to be able to get a Zamazenta Retaliate 240 damage KO here, it's not going to be easy for him to do because he only gets to accelerate 1 energy into play with Bronzong. He doesn't have Metang, right? So we'll have to play Metal Saucer or Raihan or something like that in order to get that extra energy. Now, John does have Metal Saucer in hand, but does not have the Zamazenta yet. So would need to find Nest Ball off of the Stellar Wish. Does actually find the Nest Ball. So John could piece this together because he has Birdkeeper in hand. So what he would have to do is he'd have to Nest Ball for the Zamazenta and then use Bronzong and Metal Saucer on the Zamazenta and then Birdkeeper it into the active spot. So that was a big hit for John off the Jirachi. Finding the Nest Ball for the Zamazenta, he absolutely needed that because this play, it was not going to be just free, right? It was going to be a little bit difficult to piece together, but he did find those pieces that he needs. Metal Saucer, get that metal energy. Metal Links from the Bronzong will also get an additional energy, and then if he has one to attach from hand, he'll be good to go. So Birdkeeper will send the Zamazenta up into the active spots. Draw 3. Another energy to the Zamazenta. And this Retaliate is going to hurt. And with the Metal Shield ability on Zamazenta, Inteleon cannot take this knockout, actually, on Zamazenta. It has an effective 160 hit points. Yeah, and Zamazenta will swing for 240 damage, a boosted 240 damage with Retaliate. And the whale has been slain. That hurts. That is usually how the water deck is able to win games, is by forcing 2-for-1 scenarios. But now, JD does not look to have an attacker that can easily handle the Zamazenta. JD could handle the Zamazenta if he can attack with Kyogre this turn. So it could be like a Nessa. I think Nessa for Kyogre is probably what you're looking at. JD does just barely have the resources to be able to do that. That is what I'm thinking that he needs to do. And maybe JD pointing to the Inteleon. I think maybe attacking with Inteleon last turn would have been a better play. You didn't need to attack with the Whale Lord. Maybe try to pressure. I think JD should have tried to pressure John's resources a little bit more last turn. Something that's interesting, and by pressuring the resources, I mean, like, if you attack with Inteleon, you force John to kind of like whip up an attacker, which was not the easiest thing to do, right? He was able to do it, but it wasn't the easiest thing to do. And then you come in with the whale when like resources are lower, right? It looks like JD is actually valuing getting the whale back out instead of taking a knockout this turn. Inteleon will miss this KO. But I guess maybe JD is saying, like, okay, if Inteleon misses the KO, that's okay. Oh, escape rope in hand. I did not even recognize that Japanese exclusive escape rope artwork. That's interesting. I actually like this play less. I like this play less than JD just swinging into the Zamazenta. I think if JD just swings into the Zamazenta this turn, John like might miss the knockout, right? Because you're not taking a knockout to boost Zamazenta's retaliate attack. And it looks like Aqua Bullets will take this knockout on Jirachi. Place 20 onto Revavroom. Joshua saying, on YouTube, I'm playing your meta list from a few months ago. Any updates that I have made? I think maybe you could take out like it's tough, right? Like maybe like one of the power cards, like Hex Maniac or something like that, for like one more consistency card. But honestly, I really believe in that list. I think that list is super solid. So the only thing that I've been kind of toying with is like maybe minus Hex for like for another consistency card. But yeah, I like the list as it is. You could take out the counter energy for the new special metal that gives you free retreat. You could do that. I like that change, I think. But I'm not a big believer in Philippe. I don't think that you really need Philippe if you're playing the Matang. But the special metal energy is very good. So I would consider putting that in for counter energy. And I would consider maybe taking out Hex for like one more good consistency card. I mean, Hex Maniac's an incredible card. It's just, it's not searchable in that list, in the meta list. Like you can't search it out for the key turn that you want to play it. Right? Oh, I like Town Map in there for sure. I feel like you have to play Town Map. Yeah, Town Map. Town Map's a card that I added. Maybe I think I might have taken out Hex for Town Map. We got a Rumbling Engine, fill John's hand. And we see John is playing multiple HP boosting tools, has the Fighting Fury Belt and the Metal Core Barrier. And I do think that HP boosting tools are not really being played a lot right now. It does feel like almost everybody is just playing Field Blower. So if you are playing HP boosting tools, it's one of those things where like you have to play like 2 or 3 of them in order to really get value, because like the first one, you can bait the Field Blower out with the first one, then maybe get the second one to stick. That's usually how it goes. For my personal deck building, I'm always of the opinion like, well, if you just don't play any HP boosting tools, then your opponent is basically playing down a card, because the field blower that they're playing is basically a blank card against your deck. So I always kind of I'm kind of that opinion, where the tool cards, like there's too many people playing field blower to have me want to play all those tool cards. I do think that there's a point in the meta where maybe if enough people stop playing HP boosting tools, that you could cut field blower, and in that case the HP boosting tools go back in and then field blower goes back in. But I don't really see a lot of that happening in Gym Leader Challenge. Pretty much everybody just plays field blower. So if everybody's playing field blower, then you do have to play multiple HP boosting tools if you're going to play them. Let me see. John is taking that route. He's got the Metal Core Barrier on the Zamazenta this turn, and the Fighting Fury Belt in hand. And we'll see if JD can respond. I mean, to be honest, Wailord could do it, right? You got Irida for superior energy retrieval. Wailord very easily handles a Zamazenta, even with the metal core barrier attached. Zamazenta has got 130 hit points plus the metal shield ability. So that makes it have an effective 160 hit points plus the metal core barrier. That's an effective 230 hit points that JD has to hit. So all Wailord needs is just that 5th energy attached. He'll be able to get that with the superior energy retrieval and Hydro Pump for 260 damage. So not a very difficult thing to negotiate from the Hydro Pump deck. Wait, make sure JD gets that. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does have 5 on the Wailord. Yep. I would feel pretty comfortable holding on to the extra energy if I'm JD at this point, because if John uses Hex, he's probably not taking a knockout. So you can kind of like save your energy. And we see that JD is very low on resources now. 4 prizes left to take to John's 2. We'll put Silent Lab into play, which is actually interesting that he put the 5th energy on if he was going to play Silent Lab, because Silent Lab does turn off basic Pokemon's abilities. So does turn off Jirachi's Stellar Wish, does turn off Zamazenta's Metal Shield. Makes it so the Wailord only had to hit 200. JD did not try to play Lily there. Was discarding Lily with Viridian to check the deck. So that's what was going on there. Now, John does play a skateboard, thank God. And here it is. Maybe it was prized. Happy to see that. Skateboard with Jirachi. Ain't no better combo than that. Now, something that I have been seeing lately is a lot of our local players are starting to meta shift on Field Blower a little bit, in that they are playing Lost Vacuum. And I actually really like that meta shift, because the prevalence of Field Blower makes it so that a lot of players are playing U-Turn Board as one of the only tool cards in their deck, because if it gets Field Blowered, it comes back to hand and they get to use it again, right? So like the amount of value that you get out of U-Turn Board is extremely high. And if you use Lost Vacuum on an escape board or on a U-turn board, it goes to the lost zone instead of the discard pile. It doesn't get to come back to play. So that could be very disruptive for a lot of decks. And I do kind of like that meta shift that's occurring with our locals right now, as U-turn board is such a powerful tool for so many decks to give them a free retreat pivot throughout the game. I think that is a natural evolution for decks to have Lost Vacuum. Like, how valuable is that second card being removed from play? A lot of times with Field Blower, you're maybe removing one crucial tool or stadium, and then the second one is probably a throwaway. But yeah, I do really like Lost Vacuum. It looks like John does not have the knockout, just has to attack with Iron Crown. Going to be swinging for 140 damage, and that is certainly what JD needed. I mean, it's 3-2 prizes now, so JD certainly can make this interesting. Does only have like a couple of cards left in deck. I think one of those is an Avery. Avery could be very good right now to limit some of John's bench. I mean, notably, like the Berserker is annoying. The Jirachi's annoying. Being able to limit those would be quite good. You see JD is not trying to like deck himself out. So is going to use Octillery to fill the hand. Does have the Giant Net though, right? So the Giant Net is like a really good deck out prevention card. The big haul net, right? There's such a powerful card in this water deck. Having Big Haul Net in combination with Nessa and Superior Energy Retrieval just gives you so much recursion in the game. Did miss the Avery. The Avery is in the bottom 2 cards of his deck. So it doesn't have that option. Does have Verse Seeker, so could go for whatever he wants off this. However, it is worth noting that this is JD's last card. Last good card to play is like Versus Seeker, right? JD has no resources left outside of Verse Seeker. It's like Big Haul Net is it, right? So now playing the Verse Seeker for Iono means that there will be no Nessa. There will be no more hand disruption for the rest of the game. There will be none of that. And John does find the Night Stretcher, can use Night Stretcher. Get a Metal Energy. Now, does he go Rev of Room to fill the hand? Yeah, probably, because you have Bronzong can attach the energy to the Cabalion, so why not? Fill the hand to 6. Rumbling Engine. And Mount Cornet's going to be huge as it turns Jirachi back on. We see John has only got 6 cards left in deck. Gets to look at 5 of them. Guzma certainly going to be a strong asset for John to close this game out, as we've already determined that JD does not have any hand disruption now. So if John can just get an energy on Zacian and Bronzong and energy to Cabalion, he should be able to kind of put JD in a checkmate scenario, because Frostmoth's weak to metal. I mean, Arctobax is weak to metal. Both those guys are weak to metal, so the 2-hit KO on the Whale not really going to matter, as John had established a pretty serious prize lead in this game. Was able to weather the 2-hit KO. Mount Cornet getting some energy back from the discard pile. He can attach 1 to that Zacian. And then Cabalion going to come in and Revenge Blast for 150 damage. This is an old Cabalion. It's from Steam Siege, but still a valuable card in Gym Leader Challenge formats. Both its attacks are really good. Quick Guard prevents damage from basic Pokemon next turn, and there are a lot of really good basic Pokemon in Gym Leader Challenge. So Cabalion, Quick Guard can really slow the game down, allow you to set up. And then Revenge Blast in the last couple turns of the game, just dealing a very solid 150. I mean, with the Berserker out, that was 170 damage for 2 energy. And then obviously, if your opponent only has 1 prize left, you're doing 180 damage with Revenge Blasts. It's just some good damage output for low energy investments. At this point, none of this really matters for John getting Averied. In order for JD to win this game, he would also have to pair this with a reset stamp. Because we, as the viewer, know that John does have Guzma. But JD does have Great Hall Nets, so can play Great Hall Nets to replenish the deck and get 3 water energy, 3 Pokemon, toss them back in. And then I think there is a Capacious Bucket in hand as well, which can go get the water energy out of the deck, attach them to Wishy-Washy. But JD doesn't have the knockout on Wishy-Washy, actually, because of the Fighting Fury belts, putting the Wishy-Washy, or putting the Cabalion to 160 hit points. Time is dwindling down, but it should not matter. We know John has the game-winning card in hand with the Guzma. Wishy-Washy is short of the KO. Can swing for 130. I think that JD's options are running out. Just got to throw the Wishy-Washy into the active spot and say, well, I swing for 130, right? That's just all you can do. Looks like JD is probably not playing Field Blower in the list, which I understand as the water deck because, I mean, you can hit infinite damage, so you just don't always need it. But John has got the attack with Zacian. Finish this game off. Guzma, the Frostmoth, and that'll be game. John Patterson, your round 1 winner with his metal deck. And our first battle of the Pikachu chair versus the Gengar chair. The Pikachu chair reigned supreme. Congrats, John Patterson, for the round 1 win. We've got 20 players here in the house tonight. So it's going to be a 5-rounder. These players are competing in a battle of the mustaches. John's mustache came out on top. Let's go. John is a local mailman. His profession delivers the mail by foot. I was talking to John the other day. That man walks like 20 miles a day. He is in great shape. You can see that farmer's tan he's working on over there. Yeah, dude. That is a mailman tan right there. He's got calves of steel, folks. Calves of steel. Yeah, that dude be walking like 20 miles a day. It's crazy. I can't even fathom walking that far. It's like 8 hours of walking every day. Like, absolutely crazy. Yeah, that dude is fit. I've got a 5K tomorrow night, actually, that I'm running in. I've been keeping up with my running lately. Gonna be doing a 5K with my friends Craig and Tracy. Excited about that. It's like one of those themed 5Ks. It's a night glow 5K. I think the theme is that there's glowing lights and like it's at nighttime. Round number 2. Who do we got coming into the hot seats? Colby says another solid tag team episode today. Appreciate that, Colby. Thanks. Shout out to the Tag Team Podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Looks like, yeah. You're going to have to tighten the chair there, the Pikachu chair. The XL needs to be calibrated, it looks like. We've got Tony Seiya versus Hunter Horak. Joining us for round number 2. Tony Seiya is the second place in our badge race right now. If he can win tonight, he will tie it up with Alex Carpenter at 6 badges. And it looks like Tony is rocking the grass deck again. Was very close to winning with the grass deck the other week. Chase Juicy just won his grass badge with the grass deck last week. This new grass brew is really cool. It's got chestnut in it. It's just a really cool and fun deck to watch. It's got the new Chestnut from Chaos Rising. Chestnut's got 180 hit points and the Needly Armor ability. Needly Armor makes it so that if the opponent damages Chestnuts, they take 3 damage counters in recoil for every grass energy attached to Chestnut. So you can force your opponent into some weird spots with that. And then impound, solid attack, 160 damage for 3. Defending Pokemon can't retreat next turn. Chestnut also just kind of a hefty boy, 180 hit points. Put a growing grass energy on it. It's 200 hit points. Can be really difficult to knock out. This deck also plays Beautifly with the Stoked Straw ability. Allows you to fill your hand to 6 cards once during a turn. This deck wants to get to the bottom of the deck quickly so that at the end of the game, you can finish the opponent off with a Hazardous Greed attack using Wo Chien. Now, Hazardous Greed may only do 20 damage, but it has the bonus effect. If there are 3 or fewer cards in your deck, this attack also does 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. All right, guys. I'll figure out how to calibrate the chairs after this round. All right, bro? I'll figure it out. Okay? Like, listen, they're just, I haven't actually played a game of Pokemon in them yet.
Blame Hunter, not me.
Just try not to fall down, okay?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little woozy in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to tighten one of the knobs on those, keep them from leaning back. Here we go. Round number 2 underway here at Full Grip Games. We've got Hunter Horak on the left playing Dragon versus Tony Seiya on the rights with Grass. It looks like Tony got a pretty decent opening hand. Tropius in the active spots. Does have some search cards, notably Pokepad and Gladion. Gladion does allow you to dig whatever you want out of the prize cards. You swap it with Gladion. So he's going to get to take a look at these prizes and see what he's got in there. I think I see Cherim. That's obviously a pretty good one, but chose a different card, leaving the Cherim in the deck. Or leaving the Cherim in the prize cards, which means he must have grabbed something very important, which I'm sure we're about to see here momentarily. Yeah, it was Torterra. Gonna use Pokepad, go get Roselia. And then Quick Ball. We'll get Wurmple. And I think Tony's correct to grab the Torterra instead of the Cherim off of the prize cards, as Torterra is how you really get the deck moving. Evo Press does 50 damage for each of your evolution Pokemon in play. Tony going first is going to be able to get probably a turn 3 Evo Press, which is a lot of pressure in Gym Leader Challenge formats. Just promoting a 190 hit point Pokemon that's doing potentially, 200 plus damage. Is really insane. It looks like Hunter going in with Crispin. All right, people have been hating me for this. People have been absolutely hating on me for this, but I'm telling you, you got to be playing the Gibble that has Ascension, okay? Ascension Gibble is the best Gibble. I will not back down from this. Imagine if Hunter used Ascension this turn. Just imagine it, okay? Ascension Gibble only has 50 hit points. Oh, wow, what? Wait, he had Rare Candy Garchomp? Wait, what? What? Okay, well, who needs Ascension when you just actually have the turn 2 Garchomp? And Tony was going second. Excuse me. I thought he was going first. No, he went second. Holy cow, dude. And I guess Hunter has just got the turn 2 Garchomp. Okay. Doesn't have much else in hand, notably. but does have the turn 2 rare candy Garchomp just like that. Which is going to put some pressure on Tony. Now, the rest of Hunter's hand is pretty bad. And he is actively milling the top 2 cards of his deck every turn. But I still like Ascension Gibble. I'm still not backing down. I'm all about Ascension Gibble because going like turn 1 Ascension, if your opponent doesn't respond to Gabite, then you're threatening a turn 2 Garchomp, right? Like just for that reason exactly. It's just another way to threaten a turn 2 Garchomp. If your opponent is using like a little bit of a slower setup strategy, you could just go Ascend and then you just have it, right? So I don't know. I think it's worth the slight debuff in HP in order to have the option. Because plays like this win games. You just get the quick Garchomp out. Something worth noting, Hunter does have Night Stretcher in hand. So if he does discard like an energy or a Pokemon, he can bring it back with Night Stretcher. This Garchomp is invincible this turn, but it doesn't really matter, right? Because it's not like Tony is going to be threatening the Garchomp this turn. That is not happening. So the invincibility does not matter. Now, what is important, thank you so much, Stexon, for that sub on Twitch and the 76 months. Let's freaking go. Flatty Flats over on YouTube says, I've been thinking about going to a 6K weekend for a while. It's a trip from Massachusetts, but I think it would be fun. It would be fun. You get 2 tournaments to play in. There's not a lot of other big tournaments happening in July. It would be a great time. Never been a better time to book a trip to Akron, Ohio. And I should mention that this 6K doubleheader is looking like it may sell out. So anybody looking to play at the Pitch Black $6,000 cash doubleheader coming up July 18th and 19th, sign up before the event sells out because it is looking like it is headed that way. We've got another knockout from Garchomp. Discards Enhanced Hammer and Dracloak. Finds Dragronium Z. Does have 2 energy on Rayquaza. Is actually able to get Tatsugiri out too. The hand is Dragonium Z and Night Stretcher. Yo, we got Evan Wiki coming back. Let's go. You're playing Honchkrow for Pitch Black Standard. Let's freaking go. That's hype. Now, the tough thing from Tony's perspective is that obviously he's got a freaking Garchomp breathing down his neck. But he also doesn't have enough evolution Pokemon in play to threaten this Garchomp adequately. Because Evopress does 50 damage for the amount of evolution Pokemon you have in play. But Tony's Pokemon have been getting picked off one by one by this Garchomp ever since turn 2. Now, teammates could solve it, right? Because you could teammates and go find Forest of Vitality, and Tony kind of correctly identifying he needs to use the turf field first, maybe get an evolution. And if Tony could spring 4 evolutions into play, then he could make it happen. And I'm imagining this, teammates for Revitalizer and Force of Vitality, and then use Force of Vitality to evolve Roserade from the discard pile into play instantly, right? But I think Tony just played Super Rod, so maybe he should have not done that. And then, yeah, I think Tony might have jacked that up, because if Revitalizer is in the deck, I think you just want to go Revitalize, because that's a 2-for-1. You're getting 2 cards for 1 card. So you use Revitalizer to go get Roserade, right? And that's 1 evolution. And then you have to get the freaking Beautifly into play, and then you might have to like draw into the last evolution. Oh, he's got Scoop Up Net in hand. He threw then, because if you get Force of Vitality, you could Roserade twice. It's like guaranteed. All you have to do is the Forest prized. Oh my God. If the Forest is prized, this is chalk. That would suck. The Forest probably is prized. If he's waffling over this for so long, the Forest like definitely isn't in the deck. That's probably what the case is. God, because this play is just like, the Forest is prized. No, the play is just there if the Forest is in the deck. Oh my goodness. Yeah, because you go Revitalizer and the Roserade, and then you do it. You can Le Parfum twice with Force of Vitality. This play just gets so much crunchier without Forest, right? Because you're like, okay, I'm at max. I'm doing like 100 damage to this Garchomp. I'm 2-hit KOing the Garchomp, which is super cringe. But still, Hunter doesn't have like a stable board state still, right? Tony could have used Raihan counter energy, swing for 160 with Hammer in. I mean, that's like an option. But it looks like it's going to be just using Rare Candy to get into Beautifly. And Beautifly is going to draw through the deck a little bit more. Now, the Rare Candy has been used at this point, so... And with the Force of Vitality prized, not going to be able to spring into action. So not the breakout turn that Tony wanted. He's definitely fielding some rough prizes. Did have Torterra, Cherim, and Force of Vitality prize this game. We'll see if he can dig himself out of this hole. Especially, like, it's a terrible game to have Hunter get a turn 2 Garchomp. That's for sure. Yeah, with these prizes that you're navigating out of, you're like, you really want your opponent to be stumbling somewhere too. And that has just not been the case. But the weird thing about Garchomp is when you get a turn 2 Garchomp and you just are plowing through your deck like this, right? It does do a number on your resources. You are just discarding the top 2 cards of your deck every single turn. So Will Hunter is finally tapping out. It's saying, I am just going to... Whoa! Holy crap, Dragonium Z with the Rayquaza. Oh my God. And just discard all the energy. Now this play is still... Oh my God. This play is like got Tony in a pretty tough spot. He does have counter energy, so he could actually take this knockout without Cherim. But Tony does not have Cherim or Force of Vitality to like respond to this. He does have counter energy with the Rally Back Tropius, though. So he is going to be able to take this knockout. Now, for those of you who are not aware, Dragonium Z is a GX attack that you can actually use in Gym Leader Challenge format. That's right, a GX attack. It is a tool card that gives any Pokemon that has the Dragon Claw attack, the Destructive Drake GX attack, which allows you to discard up to 3 basic energy, or discard as many basic energy, all basic energy from the Pokemon that it's attached to. It does 80 for each energy discard. So with 3 energy discarded, it does 240 damage. Tony is having to figure his way out of this one. This is brutal, right? Because still, like, Hunter's board is not that good. Like, he can still win this game. Tony could very much still win this game, right? Hunter has only taken half of the game's prizes. There's still a lot of game left to play. But Tony does have to find something good, like, off the prizes soon. Scoop Up Net, I think, going to reset the Roserade as it does. Tony is certainly going to have to rely on Raihan, I think, if this Tropius goes down. Because imagine, like, if Hunter has another fighting energy, to activate Garchomp, it's going to get kind of ugly. There's the Revitalizer. Still an 8-card draw off a Lily for Tony. The Wo-Chien is also very good against this Dragon deck. Wo-Chien does just take 2 prizes at the end of the game. With Hazardous Greed, is a lot of the Dragon Pokemon are very squishy. They've only got 120 hit points. So Hazardous Greed does hit the right numbers against the Dragon deck. Druddigon, Reshiram. I think Reshiram maybe has 130, but Tatsugiri, Rayquaza. There's a lot of Pokemon that only have 120 hit points in the Dragon deck. So a lot of targets for Hazardous Greed. I mean, and that could just end up stealing the game. If you get to, like, the end of the game, you could use Guzma to bring something up and Hazardous Greed a couple of times and just win. I mean, that's just one of the things that this deck can do. And we see Tony is, like, at the bottom of the deck. I mean, Tony has drawn a lot of cards. And what does he find? It is Cherim. All right, that's a big find for Tony. Because now the energy crunch is not really a thing anymore. Tony can navigate the energy situation. Now, Hunter is operating with a single card hand now. I mean, he had 2 cards in hand, I think. One of them was Energy Retrieval, though, which does get him out of this bind, as he can attack with Garchomp again, discards Guzma and Iono off the Dragon Blade, goes to 2 prizes, but Tony does finally have Cherim. And we might see, you could see a Hazardous Greed this turn. You could see, I think, an attack with Chestnut, probably the best thing that we could see from Tony. If you could attack with a 4 energy Chestnut, you're just saying, like, okay, if you Druddigon me, I'm taking that knockout too, right? So that would be huge. 4 energy, a 4 energy Chestnut, I feel like could be ideal. And I think that that is within Tony's capabilities this turn. He's got Lana's Aid in hands. He's got Roserade too. A 4 energy Chestnut really, really puts a lot of pressure on Hunter here. Yeah, this Cherim is a massive find. It's got the Spring Bloom ability, which says as often as you like during your turn, you can attach a grass energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. It is going to be Lana's Aid. That is going to help Tony to get those extra energy to hand that he needs in order to power up the Chestnut. I do have to imagine it's Chestnut, because Chestnut is still not getting returned by Druddigon. I mean, Druddigon only does 160. So, and I agree with this Roserade for the 4th energy. Tony kind of sees the vision, right? He's like, I see the vision. This is the line. And Tony is, like, locked in to what he has to do to win this game. And this is part of what makes Chestnut so good, is that Chestnut is not easily returned by a lot of the format's most popular attackers. Iron Boulder misses the knockout on Chestnut. Druddigon misses the knockout on Chestnut. Ogie Dogie, if unboosted misses the knockout on Chestnut. So you got a lot of Pokemon that are just naturally missing the KO on Chestnut. 180 hit points does kind of set you in this next league of Pokemon that most attackers are not calibrated to handle. We see Hunter. It's got Tatsugiri, can attract customers. This might be like the first supporter that Hunter actually plays this game. Guzma and Hala. Has also got Cynthia and Caitlyn in hand now too. Guzma Hala can go get maybe U-turn board. Oh my gosh. And Hunter does actually have Muscle Band in hand. So Guzma Hala can get U-turn board to retreat the Tatsugiri, double Dragon Energy for the Druddigon, and then Muscle Band to the Druddigon, and Druddigon's doing 180. So the Druddigon can take the knockout, but it'll knock out itself. Right? Because of the fourth energy that Tony put on, unless, it'll just knock itself out. This is crazy. All right, it's going to be Air Balloon and then maybe Parallel City. But Parallel City, Tony will just discard Roserade and the Shaman. That's like not a big deal. So the Parallel doesn't really make a difference here. The Lost City wouldn't have made a difference. The Lost City, I think, is actually worse for Hunter than it is for Tony here. You're not powering up a second Chestnut. That's just not a thing that you're doing in the game. Yeah, Stormy Mountains is certainly the pick. Yes, you get Stormy Mountains, go get another basic Pokemon out of the deck. Because you're going to need a guy, right? Now, Tony's got 4 prizes left. He's about to go to 3 prizes left. And Hunter's about to go to 1 prize remaining. Oh my gosh, this game is close. Now, who is Hunter going to grab that could potentially finish off this game? And it's like there is no other attacker in the deck. It's just Druddigon. All the other attackers are like evolutions. So there's like Raging Bolt, I guess. Okay, Raging Bolt is in there. So Hunter could finish the game off with Raging Bolts. Tony could go Wo-Chan attack this turn. I mean, can Tony Wo-Chan? Hunter, that was selected. Yeah, that was selected, Hunter. You were shuffling, bruh. And the Muscle Band, and you see Tony's eyes roll back like, oh my God, just the nuts. You've got the nuts. And Tony finds Silicoon. And now he's got to fight his way out of this. Can he do it? 3 prizes to 1. Hunter doesn't have much of a board state, doesn't have much of a hand. Sends up Tatsugiri. It's still very much a winnable game for Tony. If Tony could take a knockout with a Pokemon that does not get 1-hit KO'd easily, and then finish the game with Wo-Chan. Tony does have Gladion back. So Gladion could get Force of Vitality if he had pieces to use. Does also have Guzma. I don't think that Tony is going to be able to... like... Maybe it's like a Guzma, Ichipal, and Reshiram angle, right? No. That can't be it. I feel like you don't want to give Hunter time. Yeah, this is just as tight as it gets. And it might just be a rally back with Tropius and Prey from Tony, right? Iono Hunter to 1. I mean, Tony Ionos himself to 3 and then can draw into the energy he needs in order to power up Tropius. There are grass energy in the deck. And there are 2 right there. Is it Wo-Chen we're going for here? No, you have to knock out the Tatsugiri. Absolutely have to. Non-negotiable. So Silent Lab is also very good, though, because Silent Lab does turn off the Reshiram and gets rid of the Stormy Mountains. So Silent Lab is pretty crucial, I would say, and I expect Tony to play it. So I'm expecting a rally back KO. So got to put the Silent Lab in play. Have to. Please, Tony. Please put the Silent Lab in play, Tony. Please put the Silent Lab in play. Please. Doesn't put the Silent Lab in play. Tony, if you lose this game because you don't put Silent Lab in play, I'm going to go ballistic. I cannot imagine what the line is here. Now, Raging Bolts, like, okay, maybe the line for Tony is that he's worried about Raging Bolts sniping something. And it doesn't want to turn off his own Shaman. Is that the line? Like, I guess that's Tony's thinking. I suppose so. But I think the odds of the Raging Bolt getting powered up with Silent Lab in play are so few, right? We see Hunter's got Parallel City and is like reading it, and he's going to parallel himself to decrease the damage dealt from Tony. And then Hunter is just got nothing. He's got no hand. I think it's just single fire energy in hand is all he's got. And this is where a card like Reggie Drago would be insane, right? I really like Reggie Drago in Dragon decks. To me, that card is like a must play in Dragon decks. Reggie Drago, just Dragon's Horde's crazy. You just fill your hand to 4 cards. That card is nuts. So I'm a big believer in that card. I understand most of the time this Dragon deck wants to have Dracloak set up, but still, there's just nothing like Dragon's Horde to fill your hand to 4 when you're in these crunch spots, right? So it's gonna be Fire Energy to Raging Bolt pass. All right, Tony's got to be feeling some relief there, counting the cards left in deck. An attack with Wo-Chen does not win the game because there are no 2 Pokemon on Hunter's side that would get knocked out by Wo-Chen. And use Lost Vacuum to send the Parallel City away. It's such a sad kind of realization when you get to the point in the game where you realize that like Raihan is a dead card, your opponent has 1 prize left, and you're like, oh, I can't Raihan, man. Oh, man. And at this point, Tony, I think, only has 3 cards left in deck. And it's like, I have to freaking Wo-Chen twice and just hope that I win, right? And that's it. And we just see, does Hunter top deck a card that he can use? Or is it the Wo-Chen sweep? It's the Wo-Chen sweep, and that's it. Back-to-back Hazardous Greeds, and Anthony Saya wins round number 2 with the Wo-Chen Chestnut deck. Was able to claw his way out of some terrible prize cards there and make some magic happen with the grass deck. This grass deck was able to win our Gym Leader Challenge locals last week, and now Tony making another good case for it there in that game with some tough prizes and a quick Garchomp from Hunter was still able to navigate his way to a win. So great job from Tony. Really well played. Tough one for Hunter. I mean, that with a start that strong, you usually expect to win those games, but Hunter never was able to get the board established that he needed in order to really solidify that win. All right, that was a dope round 2, guys. I was really hype on that, actually. That was cool. I'm going to go take a look at the chairs, though, as it looks like our players are getting ready to fall out of them. Evan Wiki was saying that there's like a paddle on the bottom that you can like flip up to like lock it from leaning back. So I'm going to go do that so that we don't have any of our players spill out of the new secret lab chairs from leaning back too far. I'm gonna go check on that real quick, but I'll be right back after this. A little maintenance to the new equipment. Thank you guys all so much for being here. We've got some really exciting events coming up this summer at Full Grip Games. We got the World Championship 2004 World's Throwback Series events happening this Saturday starting at 11 a.m. I'll be streaming the whole thing with Cole. And if you can't make it out, definitely make sure to tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've also got the Pitch Black release weekend doubleheader happening July 18th and 19th. That's a $3,000 cash standard event happening Saturday, July 18th. And a $3,000 cash Gym Leader Challenge event happening Sunday, July 19th. If you finish in the top 8 of the standard events, you'll get an invite to the free $5,000 tournament, our first invitational we've ever held here at Full Grip Games, happening in August. You can find more information on fullgripgames.com. And of course, Full Grip is always buying bulk and singles at fullgripgames.com. So if you've got some extra cards lying around your house, you want to turn into cash or store credit, you can use the buy list function on fullgripgames.com to turn your extra cards into money, which you can then turn into more Pokemon cards. All right, folks, we'll be right back after this quick break. Thanks for the patience. Got the chairs all fixed up. Thank you, Evan Wiki, for the heads up. Yeah, there's a paddle on the underside of the Secret Lab chairs that you can flip up and down, which like kind of locks or unlocks the lean of the chair. And when it's unlocked, I mean, the chair can just like lean back very quickly, which can be alarming if you're not ready for it. So I locked both chairs in the upright position and removed the paddles, actually. Just yoinked them suckers right off so that nobody would unlock them again. Because I think the last thing you want is to like sit down on a chair and have it like give out on you, right? Like unexpectedly. Not what you want when you're getting ready for some serious gaming. So yeah, I yoinked out the paddles. So the unlocked mode is basically only good if you have the footrest attachment. Right, like, dude, you do not... Well, and those guys do not need to be reclining, okay? They are there to game. They don't need to... Listen, it's very easy to pop the paddles back on. I mean, if you have a Secret Lab, you know, like, the paddles, they just, like, slide on and off. So I just removed them so that players wouldn't go like trying to adjust the height, because one of them's the height and the other one is like the lean. So I just want the height one to be there so that like if someone wants to adjust the height, they can. But I don't want somebody accidentally doing the lean and then like, you know, finding themselves in an uncomfortable position. So yeah, got that all squared away. Something else that is very exciting about our new setup is that we have an event clock, folks. I don't know if you saw, I think I showed it off during Deck Busters on Wednesday, but I've got a new event clock that we have set up in the play area. And it looks freaking awesome. Here we go. I'm going to show you a picture real quick while we're getting ready. But dude, check this out. Yeah, so this is a picture of the stage from the floor. As you can see right up here, we've got a brand new event clock, which counts down every round. So players can see this clock from the floor. It beeps when the time is up. Just a very convenient addition to our tournament setup. So that's going to be there for all of our tournaments now, for players to be able to reference to know how much time is left in the round. Just another awesome thing we got going on here at Full Grip Games. New event clock. Love it. I got Holland Scientist in the chat asking, am I ready for Swampert to take it all down on Saturday? Dude, I mean, I love Swampert, and I love the Swampert deck. I think it's very cool. So if Swampert takes it all down for the 04 Throwback Tournament, I would be stoked. Maybe there'll be a Swampert counter deck, though, okay? Maybe there'll be some, like, Sceptile shenanigans or something. Maybe Swampert's getting too hot. What if the meta shifts even further? What if the meta turns further? And then we get into Swampert counter deck territory. We'll have to see. We got Fran on the left at 2-0. We got Ben Peacock on the right at 2-0 as well. Oh, wait, is that Noah there in the YouTube chat then? Is that Noah? Because we were talking about Sceptile with the Swampert shell. Yeah, is that Noah? Could be. Maybe. Someone's got to build it, though. That is something that I noticed. I played in one of our 2015 World side event. Something that I noticed is that, like, the formats are so different when you're playing. When you're like playing a retro format, it's so different than having played in that format, because when you play in that format, like at the tournament, the metagame is one thing. But when you play in a retro tournament, everybody is playing with like the top 8 decks. So you can like metagame that, right? Because all the decks that people build from like a retro event or from for a retro format are usually like a selection from the top 8. So like you can metagame that. And that's something that I think is kind of fun, right? Let's get into it. Round number 3, a classic Gym Leader Challenge matchup in 2026. We have got Fran Steigar with the fighting deck against Ben Peacock with Psychic. Let's freaking go. Ben Peacock going to be starting with Iron Boulder in the active spots. Going first, Boulder, Energy. Not a lot else going on in Ben's hand, though. We see there's like a strange timepiece and some other stuff, but really not the best hand. Whereas Fran has got Lunatone, Battle VIP Pass, and a Lily's Determination. So Fran is like certainly looking like she could pop off this turn 1, as this is like the dream draw scenario. Now, Fighting and Psychic are two of the most popular and strongest card pools in Gym Leader Challenge right now, but I really enjoy the Fighting versus Psychic matchup, as it really feels like it could go either way. I think that Psychic is slightly favored. It feels to me like Gardevoir versus Dragapult in our previous standard format before rotation, where like Gardevoir and Dragapult were the two best decks, but it did feel like anything could kind of happen between them. And Gardevoir was slightly favored because Gardevoir hits Dragapult for weakness. So like in a very similar way, I think that this matchup is kind of like a battle of the two titans in Gym Leader Challenge, but Psychic is slightly favored, as like one of the major upsides of the fighting deck is that you have Okidogi, which can have 230 hit points if you've got the Adrenopower ability activated. But Psychic doesn't really care about that because Psychic hits Okidogi for weakness. And that's kind of like one of the big inflection points of this format. Now we see Fran is drawing more cards, discarded Barbaracle. Was that a Cynthia and Caitlyn, or discarded Binacle? Was that a Cynthia and Caitlyn played to discard the Binacle? Binacle is a very important card to have in this matchup, because you're going to want to get your attackers kind of flowing turn after turn. You want to be able to power up Okidogi again and again and again. And Barbaracle's Stone Arm's ability is the big enabler for that. If you just kind of like throw Okidogis and Soul Rocks at your opponent's deck like as quickly as possible, that's usually how fighting is able to overcome this Psychic matchup. Now, it does look like Fran's got a turn 1 knockout on one of Ben's Pokemon with Soul Rock, and she's going to take it. It's got Fighting Energy to put on to Soul Rock, and then the turn 1 KO with it. But I'm very nervous for Fran as she discarded the Binacle. I really don't want to see that Binacle discarded. We see Ben top deck Lily, and I think is really going to punish her for this. Now, I actually don't even know if I agree with the turn 1 knockout from Fran. I think, personally, staring at a potential Iron Boulder turn 2 with no Binacle down, I would have much rather seen Fran go Energy Attachment to Boulder pass, right? Because Ben doesn't have, like, a solid board state or a way to, like, charge energy into play or anything like that. So if Ben goes, like, knockout with Boulder, you want to return with a knockout with Okidogi, because Okidogi does one-hit KO Iron Boulder. So I think it would have been in Fran's best interest to actually just attach an energy to Okidogi and say pass, and then wait for Ben to go on the offensive and then respond and try to then snowball your Okidogi to take 2 KOs in a row. So I don't really like this particular line for Fran, especially without her getting the Binacle down. Because if the Binacle is down, then you can say, all right, well, I'll take the turn 1 knockout with Soul Rock, and then if Ben goes knock out my Soul Rock, then maybe I go evolve into Barbaracle and charge up Okidogi in one turn and take that knockout anyway. But Fran didn't do that. So I think that the most likely scenario is that Fran is not able to launch a meaningful attack this next turn, and then ends up falling behind with an Iron Boulder that takes multiple knockouts in a row, and then Ben Peacock will eventually finish the game off with a not too blindside for multiple prizes, while Fran kind of struggles to get things going. And that's kind of just how this line could end up working, because you know, what do you do next turn as Fran, right? You get your Soul Rock knocked out, you promote just a guy and like attach to Okidogi and pass, then Ben takes another knockout, then maybe finally Fran gets an Okidogi going and knocks out the Iron Boulder, but by that point, Ben Peacock has got Malamar online and is able to charge up an attacker to one-hit KO the Okidogi, and then Ben Peacock is operating from a point of a prize lead the entire game, and is able to, you kind of set that prize lead further ahead with an eventual not to play. So that is going to be my biggest concern for Fran, taking this early knockout. Though I see the appeal of going for the early rope knockouts, right? I mean, you want to take the early prize lead. You want to be the fighting deck who's kind of bullying the psychic deck off the board. But I would have been more enticed to take that knockout if I was guaranteed to hit the Ralts. But not being guaranteed to hit the Ralts and having to instead say, like, okay, well, I'm going to be served up a Mimikyu. The Mimikyu is just a very low value KO there. Now, if Fran has Raihan in hand, like, sure, that'd be cool. I don't know if she has that option available. I don't think so. And maybe Fran is prized the Barbaracle, and if Fran is prized Barbaracle, it's still a card you don't really want to give up. The Binacle, right? Because you kind of want the Binacle in play so that as soon as you do find the Barbaracle, you just want to be able to evolve it instantly. So Fran is just doing exactly kind of what I said, trying to buy a turn, sacking the Soul Rock or sacking the Lunatone. Doesn't really have anything, has to attach to Okidogi, use Lysander to bring up Inkay, say pass. I would have preferred to see Fran bring up the Kirlia. Kirlia's got a retreat cost of 2. Inkay only has a retreat cost of 1. So I think bringing up the Kirlia would have been slightly better. But it looks like Ben is cooking now. He's able to, get Malamar and Kirlia and Xatu in play. This is kind of like the whole engine of the Psychic deck. So I don't really see Ben struggling to keep momentum going forward from this point. And Ben gets Monkey Dory down. Scoop Up Net can move the Malamar. And can Ben hand match? It's going to promote the Giratina as it's got free retreats. Has a third energy to attach to it. And it looks like Tina is just going to be taking this knockout. Shadow Impact for 130 damage. Place 4 damage counters on his own Pokemon. That will be going to Monkey Dory. And of course, with Adrenabrain, if you attach a Darkness Energy to the Monkey Dory, you can just move that damage back over. So this is a really tough spot for Fran. Like I said, the major upside of the fighting deck into most decks is the fact that Okidogi is really big and hard to knock out. But Okidogi is not very big and not very hard to knock out for the Psychic deck. Because of its weakness. It can knock out this Giratina, but Ben has got the Iron Boulder there in the wing, ready to go for next turn. Now, something that's interesting is that the Sudowoodo can take a one-hit KO on Iron Boulder. It's one of the main reasons that Fighting List will play Sudowoodo. But Fran ditched that Binacle early on, so Fran does not have the option to power up Sudowoodo in a single turn, aside from maybe finding a Raihan. She's playing Lily's Determination this turn. We'll see if she can maybe find Raihan to get Sudowoodo powered up next turn. But at this point, for Fran, without Soul Rock and Lunatone in play, it is also going to be pretty difficult to hand match Ben Peacock, because Ben has some pretty significant draw power in play with both Kirlia and Xatu, while Fran is missing her draw engine. Fran does find Parallel City, so Parallel City is a good card into Ben's board state. Parallel City limits the opponent to a 3-card bench if the blue side is facing. So we see Fran hits Ben with the blue side of Parallel City. That means Ben has to limit his bench down to 3, discards Inkay and Xatu. And we can see, I mean, just what a powerful card, right? Parallel City is just insane because you just took away Ben's energy acceleration like that. That's crazy, right? Like a single stadium. And Ben was like, I'll get rid of both my energy accelerators. Pretty crazy card being able to remove 2 Pokemon from play like that. Looks like Muscle Band is going on to Riolu. Fran is playing Lucario in her list. So Lucario could maybe take a knockout on Iron Boulder. Lucario is a nice 1 energy attacker. If Fran can find more draw power, right? I mean, she's missing the Soul Rock Lunatone. Doesn't have that. And Riolu with a Muscle Band isn't doing much. Fran's got 4 cards in hand. That'll be absolutely no problem for Ben to be able to hand match. I mean, I say that, but Ben's hand is actually like 8 cards. So like 9. So it might be like kind of tough. And we see Ben kind of starting to math that out now. Figuring out how to get down to a smaller hands. Giratina's Distortion Door, bring it back from the discard pile. Place a damage counter on 2 of Fran's bench Pokemon. Raihan can get an extra energy attached to it from the discard pile. Allow Ben to search his deck for whatever card he wants. Ultra Ball is always a nice fixer. If you've got a huge hand, so it looks like Ben doesn't even need it. He's going for like a stadium to stretch his bench out wider. Just wants to have a counter stadium. So Field Blower could remove the Muscle Band from Riolu. I think I would want to see the Field Blower get played because if you remove that Muscle Band from Riolu, Riolu evolves into Lucario. Lucario has the Avenging Knuckle attack, does 150 damage for 1 energy if a Pokemon was knocked out. 170 with the Muscle Band, right? 170 is actually very relevant because 170 minus 30 for resistance is a knockout on the Iron Boulder. So might have preferred to see Ben actually just go with the Field Blower to remove the Parallel and the Muscle Band. Since that Muscle Band has the potential to put in some work, I mean, judging from Fran's hand, she probably is just going to dead draw until she loses here, unless she top decks something miraculous. Because her hand is Scoop of Net, Nest Ball, Rescue Stretcher, U-turn board. It's not looking good. She needs to top deck an extremely live card off the top. It would have to be nothing short of like a Clara. A Clara would do it, or a Tarragon, because then you can actually draw some cards. So Clara or Tarragon would be the best bets. You'd have to pretty much bring both the rocks back. And some energy, right? And then kind of go from there. Strange Timepiece? You can't evolve right after using the Strange Timepiece. Okay, so... Oh, did Ben jack that up? Yes, you cannot evolve that, Ben. All right, is Ben going to be able to get to 4 cards? Was Ben thinking that he could play the Strange Timepiece? I think he's got too many cards in. Does he have too many cards in hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got 5. Can attach an energy, though. Oh, it just has to beach. He missed it. Holy cow. Ben thought he could Strange Timepiece and evolve on the same turn, but messed it up. You cannot do that. So Ben Peacock's actually unable to hand match Fran this turn, which gives Fran an opportunity to actually come back in this game. I mean, Fran is like going to be able to take this knockout. It's going to be able to get an extra energy into play. Fran is going to take the lead. Ben doesn't have any energy accelerators on board. Now, that was his decision to discard both of those. That did seem like a bold choice. I think keeping Monkey there was very silly for Ben Peacock. I think Ben Peacock absolutely should have discarded the Monkey. The Monkey didn't even have an energy on it yet. Yeah, you could easily sack that monkey. Keep the Malamar or the Xatu. One of the two. Keep one of them, right? Because now your board is so much weaker. And now with the timepiece being used on the Ralts, well, now you're not even threatening Gallade next turn. And Gallade is like how you put the fighting matchup away. Like once you get Gallade online, it is very difficult for the fighting deck to win. The fighting deck is usually trying to prevent you from ever getting to a Gallade board state as the Psychic deck. But Ben kind of like really shot himself in like both feet, to be honest, this turn. Kind of missequenced the Raihan. Wasn't able to hand match. Had just just kind of a messy turn there, to be honest. And now Fran is kind of like putting her foot in the door and stepping back in to this game. He's got Tarakian on the bench. And Tarakian looks like he's going to get an energy attached. Now, Fran's hand is still not good. Does have Rescue Stretcher, so can bring back one of the rocks, but doesn't have an option to bring back both. I really want Fran to hold the Rescue Stretcher. Yeah, it's not worth using yet. You just kind of hold on to it. Finds Hariyama off the prizes, which is actually very good for a card like Tarakian, because you can use Hariyama to bring up like Curlia, right? And then Tarakian can knock out Curlia, which that can be devastating. But I guess the Blacephalon is probably going for Makuhita this turn. Blacephalon won't be able to take two prizes. I guess there's 130 damage that can get spread. The Riolu, I guess, has 60 hit points left. Ooh, is it actually 60? And then Makuhita, does Makuhita have 70 or 80? Makuhita has 80, so 80 plus 60, that is 140. So I think Ben is just 10 damage shy of being able to take a double prize knockout with Blacephalon. Blacephalon is active. It is the 3-prize turn for Fran. Fireworks Bomb places 4 damage counters on the opponent's Pokemon, but if the opponent only has 3 prizes left, then you get to place 12 instead. Ben does have a damage counter on bench Monkey Dory, so can use Adrenabrain to move 1 damage counter onto Fran's board, and then can Fireworks Bomb for 12 damage counters. So very close to a 2-prize take for Ben, but not quite there. And again, doesn't have any energy accelerators on board. Is bringing the Inkay back. Oh, a Hex knockout would be big. And we see that Ben Peacock does have Hex, right? So Hex Maniac being the supporter for turn makes it so that Ogie Dogie is not taking a knockout on this Blacephalon. Blacephalon's got 110 hit points, resist fighting by 20. We see Ben putting all of the damage counters onto Makuhita, take a knockout, so that's 8 there. Still has 4 to play with. Can put 4 onto Riolu, and it looks like that's going to be the choice. And this game can get out of hand quickly if Fran cannot respond. But Fran can respond, to be honest, because Fran can just retreat into Tarakian. Tarakian retaliates for 130, and that would do it. Is it ugly? Yes. But I think you have to, right? You cannot afford to let Blacephalon go again. I really don't think you can, right? So I think you have to. Let me read Tarakian real quick. Tarakian doesn't have to be damaged. It's just his Pokemon knocked out, right? It's not like not some weird language where it has to be Oh, if any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack. Wow, Terrakion is actually not activated right now because Terrakion has to be from damage from an attack. That's why I was double checking it, folks. That's why I double checked. Yeah, it has to be from damage. So Terrakion is not activated. Fran cannot take this knockout, which is just brutal. And you really don't want to give Ben more damage. You don't even want to poke the Blacephalon, right? Because that's just brutal if you do that. If you hit the Blacephalon for not a knockout, then that damage is just coming back to you with Monkey Dory. So I think Fran's best course of action is actually to pass. Yeah, it has to beach. Yep. So Fran does make the correct call there to just attach energy to Terrakion and beach. I do think that that's right. Fran has somewhat minimized the impact of the double Blacephalon turn by, not benching any more little guys. That was obviously very good for Fran. Don't bench any little guys that can get picked off by Blacephalon this turn. Hope to God that Ben Peacock doesn't go versus Seeker Hex Maniac to do this again, in which case you're really going to be in a bad spot if that happens. I think Fran also made the correct decision, to definitely not poke the Blacephalon. The last thing you want is for Ben Peacock to have 150 damage to play around with. If you hit the Blacephalon, Monkey Dory will just move that damage back over. Ben does have Evolution Incense to go get Malamar. Malamar online, Psychic Recharge. Charge an energy from the discard pile onto one of his bench Pokemon. And then Clara. So no more Hex. Clara can recover some energies and Boulder. Bring them back to hand. Ben does need an extra energy to attach to Blacephalon. Sees it. Because they are tied on prizes now. So can't rely on counter energy alone. And then it looks like Boulder. Considering putting a Boulder down. But instead going to Refinement first. Draw 2 more cards. And then Blacephalon can finish off the Riolu. Soften up the Terrakion. And that's another prize take for Ben. Game's still not over yet. But things are certainly looking tough for Fran. She does have Iono in hand, though, so can set Ben to a 2-card hand. It's possible that he might whiff a key card off of Iono. I mean, does need an energy in order to attack with Giratina. But Okidogi will be able to take this knockout. Good punch. 170 will make quick work of this Blacephalon. We see Fran kind of eyeing up that Iono. It's pretty much got to be that. Yeah, got to be that Iono. Put the hand to the bottom of the deck. And hope that Ben doesn't find an energy. I mean, not a great prospect. You're giving Ben 2 cards. He gets a top deck and gets 2 refinements. I think Ben did find Guzma there. Enhanced Hammer, unfortunately for Fran, not going to be doing much here. Oh, I think that was in the prizes that we saw Enhanced Hammer. Fran also is playing Hex Maniac, so Hex Maniac could be useful, potentially. It looks like maybe Fran's Barbaracle was prized. Maybe that was why she discarded the Bidackle early on, which makes sense. Pokepad is going to go get Gallade, and with Gallade online, things are pretty shored up here for Mr. Peacock. Gallade's got the Buddy Catch ability, allows you to search your deck for a supporter card, put it into your hand. But first, Refinement. Discard the Muscle Band, don't really need that. And then Gallade comes into play. You can go search out a supporter card. Ben just looking at all his options. Guzma, certainly a potential target. Allows you to Psychic Recharge to the Giratina. Guzma and Hala could also be quite good. If you go Guzma and Hala, maybe get a tool card to retreat the Ogi or the Monkey Dory. You probably want to actually knock out the Ogie Dogie. Ogie Dogie is kind of like the best guy on Fran's board right now. And it is just going to be U-turn board. From the hands, free retreats into Giratina. Shadow Impact, making easy work of the Ogie Dogie. And that is really the crux of this matchup and one of the reasons why it is so bad. Or one of the reasons it is favored for Psychic, I should say. It's because Ogie Dogie is just so much less powerful against the Psychic deck than it is against everything else. The difference between 230 hit points and 130 hit points is massive, right? Fran just extending the hand, saying, you got it. Nothing I can do from this point. So Ben Peacock going to be walking away with the round 3 win. Psychic moving up to 3-0 here at GLC League Nights. Terrakion does 130 damage with its Retaliate attack, which is still short, though, because Giratina resists Psychic by 20. Or Giratina resists Fighting by 20. Excuse me. It looks like we've got Tony Saya and Ben Morse engrossed in a grass mirror here. Wish I could have been seeing this. This Tony has got the Chestnut up and going. But Ben Morse is playing Toadscruel in his deck. Was talking to Alex Carpenter, who said he got beat by Ben Morse, I think in round 1. Ben Morse got the Toadscruel into play quickly, and Toadscruel was a really, I think, a nasty card against whatever deck Alex Carpenter is playing tonight. We've got Colorless versus Fighting happening here. Kai playing Fighting. I really want to see what ends up happening in this game, so kind of keeping an eye on this one. I'm going to take a quick break, folks, but I'll keep the camera here. We'll be right back after this with round number 4. Welcome back, gamers. Let's take a look at the grass deck that Chase won with last week, and that so many of our locals are playing lately. Pretty cool. So let's take a look at it. Here we are. This is the list that Chase won with last week. It's got Chestnut in it, which automatically makes the deck extremely cool. Torterra and Beautifly. List seems well considered, and honestly, it sets up, works very well. Got Cherim, Roserade, threatening like Torterra, Chestnut, and Wo-Chen. I guess that's like kind of the core of the deck, is that you've got these two really big beat sticks in Torterra and Chestnut, and then at the end of the game, kind of like Not Too Blindside, where you can just take a double knockout to win. Wo-Chen kind of gives you that similar end game win condition. In combination with Silent Lab, like if your opponent is playing a deck that has bench barrier, you could just use Silent Lab at the end of the game and just boom, take a double knockout. It's pretty cool. Lilies, Research are like your two biggest draw cards, and Iono. But then you've also got Dawn, which is obviously good with so many evolution Pokemon. Can help you to get those evolution lines going. Arven, pretty solid card. Can go get Buddy Buddy Poffin, Floatstone, U-turn board. Guzmahala as well. Guzmahala, I'm like less impressed with Guzmahala in a deck that doesn't play Tropical Beach. But Guzmahala can get you Capture Energy and a turn one Badoo item lock, right? And early item lock can kind of give you the time to be able to set up a more complex board state. So that makes sense. I mean, both Arven and Guzmahala are going to be cards that kind of actualize a turn one Badoo. So that makes sense. Guzmahala can also thin the hand down for draw with Beautifly. So I see its value there too, is you can discard 3 cards from your hand and then draw up, right, with the Beautifly. It's pretty good. Lawnazade, get a lot of value out of that. Bringing back an attacker with energy. You can put that energy right back down into play with Cherim. We've seen Gladion work overtime in this deck too, just because there are so many different evolution lines. Being able to hand select those out of the deck is pretty big. Reset Stamp, I mean, that is a very powerful card. Very powerful hand disruptor. Being able to do things like Raihan or teammates while also playing Reset Stamp is like very good. So I see that. Tropius is just like a kind of a funny guy, right? Like Tropius.
There are three O's. Do you want Tony and Kai, or would you rather pick a 2-1 match?
Give me Tony and Kai. Yeah, let me see the grass deck again. Let's freaking do it. Let's go. I don't think anybody's going to argue with seeing the grass deck again. And this time it's going to be Tony up against Fighting. So that's an exciting matchup. Thank you, Panda89, with the Prime sub. How many grass decks in the room tonight? I think probably 2 or 3. I know Ben and Tony are on it, but I don't know if there's probably 3. Yeah, 3 people on the grass list tonight. But excited to see this this matchup. Is Tony going to be playing against a deck that many consider to be one of the best decks in Gym Leader Challenge? So a major meta matchup here. In the fighting deck, that is. All right, both these players are 3-0. Ben Peacock is the other 3-0, got down paired into John. This is round number 4. So our 3-0s tonight so far are Grass, Fighting, and Psychic. Oops. Sorry, Kai. The more games I could see of this grass deck, the better, though, to be honest. Because I think one of the biggest questions is, is this deck consistent enough? Is this grass deck consistent enough? It has 3 stage 2 Pokemon in it. Is it a real deck? I know there's definitely some haters and doubters out there. Is the grass deck serious? So excited to see this deck operate. Definitely excited to see the deck operate against some meta decks. I think that a lot of the haters might be quelled if Tony beats Kai here and then goes on to beat Ben Peacock in the final round. Fighting and then Psychic back to back. That'd be a pretty big testament to the deck's viability, I would say. Kai going first, opened Soul Rocks, got Lunatone in deck, so gonna go search that out with Artisan. We'll be able to start using Lunar Cycle. On this first turn, doesn't have a basic fighting energy in hand, though. So actually, I disagree with this, I think, from Kai, right? Because Kai doesn't have a basic fighting energy in hand. So I think I would have liked to see Kai go get Okidogi, because Kai does have a unit energy in hand. So I think I would have liked to see Kai just go get Okidogi and put unit energy on Okidogi, because then you're like still threatening a turn 2 Okidogi. Whereas right now, Kai just kind of went and got Lunatone out, but isn't really doing anything. Does have teammates in hand, so maybe can respond to a knockout eventually, but this grass deck's not going to be going for quick, like, turn 2 knockouts. I think that probably what's more likely is that Tony may... I guess if Tony does go item lock, right, with Badoo, Kai does have the unit energy in hand, so could just pop the Badoo with the Soul Rock, since he did go get the Lunatone. So I guess that's okay. And it looks like we're going to see retreat into Badoo, Itchy Pollen for 20 because of weakness. Definitely not the most explosive turn 1 from Tony. Oh, and Kai top decks Lily's Determination. So potentially big turn from Kai. Has the energy to take the knockout on Badoo. We'll put that right on into play. Artisan also gonna go search out a basic Pokemon. And deciding between maybe a Ting Lu and a Binacle. Looks like Kai may be deciding to go with Binacle. And Lily's Determination. A shuffle draw 8. Is a very powerful start from Kai. Going to be taking knockout on this Badu. Putting the pressure on straight away. And this is, one of the reasons why I think the grass deck has doubters, right? Because you've got, like, the fighting deck can just put so much pressure on early. You've got the psychic deck can take such big amounts of control of a match through the mid and late game. Can the grass deck handle this amount of consistency and pressure? We did see, Tony was able to navigate a matchup against Dragon earlier on in stream, where the Dragon deck got a turn 2 Garchomp. That was pretty impressive. But Kai now rocking with just massive hand. Replacing Artisan for Brooklet, kind of insult to injury there, as Kai now under item lock is going to be able to go get another basic Pokemon still, while also denying Tony the search of Artisan. Not the best options here, looks like, for Tony. Tony does have Raihan, right? But what do you do with Raihan? I guess you could rally back for the knockout. So there's that. Oh, and there's Turffield too. Okay. So Turffield can go get Roserade. And with rally back, yeah, it's a knockout. I've started playing red card in my fighting deck lately, which I know is like kind of a weird card to be playing. I feel like there's just so many situations where your opponent is able to pop off to a very large hand early on, and being able to like slap that down to 4 cards is just so good. I think it makes a lot of sense in the fighting deck where you have like Arvin, Karina, which can go and tutor it out of the deck very easily. Just look at the size of Kai's hand, right? Kai's hand is just so massive right now. You really want to be able to check it in some way. The Lily's Determination into the lunar cycle, just enabling so much. And you have to imagine that even with a rally back knockout from Tony here, that this Tropius is going to be answered because of the sheer size of Kai's hand. And all Kai has to do is find Barbaracle and a basic energy and some sort of rainbow energy. That's a 3-card combo. And Okie Doki's going to be attacking this next turn. Or, God forbid, just a Raihan. Raihan would do it. Just got to play a Hisuian Heavy Ball to go get Turtwig. That was probably the card that Tony went and searched for. Gonna need that thing. Something that this grass deck does a lot is just promote Roserade to be knocked out. Because you do need turns to set up, right? So Roserade helps to set everything up. And then if you need like an additional turn, Roserade's like usually always getting the push. And then you can like revitalize or Roserade later with Force of Vitality and kind of make some magic happen that way. So that's kind of the line for Tony. If this Tropius goes down, you just push Roserade and pray. Kai's got Professor's Letter. Go get 2 basic fighting energy out of the deck. Does he have a way to go get Barbaracle? Is the Barb available? He's shuffling up, so might not have another search card to go get it. I don't think I saw a ball search card in the deck or in the hand. It's got like Tag Call. Yeah, no. It's Clara, right? So you can like bring back the Soul Rock with Clara and just draw and hope. So that's what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, and if Tony could dodge the knockout this turn, that would be massive. Lunar Cycle. Thank you, Tony. Fixing the ability markers there. It looks like Kai does not find the crazy Barbaracle line, so still may be able to take a knockout with Soul Rock, though. I think Hariyama plus Soul Rock. Still expect Kai to just like take another knockout. That's probably what we're going to see. Heave Ho Catcher from Hariyama. Turtwig coming out, as you know, it's kind of obvious. Turtwig evolving into Grottle is major linchpin for this deck. Like Grottle's Sundred Shell ability does just kind of keep this thing moving. But at this point, if you're Kai, that is just a 1-to-1 trade, right? Because the Tropius is already powered up. The Tropius is just going to take this knockout again. So you're just kind of kicking the can down the road. If you're Kai, you did get a little further into your deck. Maybe you got a little bit closer to finding that Barbaracle, which you need in order to power up the Okie Dokie in a single turn. We'll see if Tony has anything going on in the hand. I don't know that he does. Seems pretty scuffed, to be honest. He's got Guzma. Like, really not a lot else. Silent Lab. Could just throw the Silent Lab down, hope it sticks. I think Tony is kind of seeing like, okay, well, if I deny the Barbaracle and then Silent Lab, maybe this gets me somewhere. So Tropius going to take a knockout on the Binacle. Silent Lab shuts down Soul Rock and Lunatone and Ogie Dogie. You have to like think that Kai probably has an out to like a Field Blower in this hand, but actually doesn't. It's got like Guzma, I think, is maybe the supporter. There is a Cynthia Caitlyn there, so Cynthia and Caitlyn can go get 3 more cards off the top of the deck. We see Karina is in the deck, Field Blower's in the deck, Teammates in the deck. Ting Lu get knied up, as Kai could use Ting Lu to discard the Silent Lab, spread some damage to the bench. Actually decides against it, though. Not going for Ting Lu. And again, I think Kai's hand is just way too big Premium Power Pro would be really good. I think Premium Power Pro will put you up to 110. No, not 110, 100. So you're still shorts. Tropius does have 110 hit points. And it's going to be another Gust. Wow, Guzma. Solrock just taking another KO. Again, still a 1-to-1 trade. Because Tropius is just going to take this knockout again. Silent Lab still in play. So no drawing. And Okie Dokie, as long as Silent Lab is in play, Okie Dokie is limited in its damage outputs. And Tony kind of feeling the weakness of not having a ton of draw supporters in the deck. I mean, it really is just kind of like Research, Iono, Lilies from what we were looking at. As far as like the draw cards, yeah, right. And Tony just like desperately needs a big hand. Needs a fresh hand for sure. Has Versus Seeker, but I don't know that Tony's played like a meaningful supporter yet. And I guess he played Teammates, right? So I guess he could Teammates again, but it's like the problem that Tony is in is bigger than a 2-card problem. Tony is in need of like 10 cards. Raihan. It wasn't even Teammates. It was Raihan. Tony can only get 1 card. Just going to take the knockout and go from there. And we'll see what Kai does in response. I mean, it's still a close game just because Kai keeps pushing around the Tropius. The Binacle is gone, so don't have to worry about Barbaracle. Do have to worry about the Okie Dokie, though. So Okie Dokie could get this knockout with Muscle Band, Strong Energy. Strong Energy plus Premium Power Pro would get there, even without countering the Silent Lab. See, Tag Call. Is there Guzmahala? I mean, Guzmahala is just kind of fixes the whole situation. Guzmahala is in the deck, yeah. So Guzmahala can just go get the counter stadium. Allows us Okie Dokie to start rampaging. Good punch for 170 damage. Easily clear this Tropius. And then Tony will be left with just a single 40 hit point Cherubi. And that is not where you want to be when you got 3 prizes left to take. That is not good. That is not going to be a winning strat. That is extremely tough. Looks like Training Court, Rainbow Energy, and Muscle Band. Tony's got Versus Seeker for Raihan. And things are starting to look and feel pretty bleak for Tony with the Silent Lab going down. The Silent Lab felt like it was the last line of defense that Tony had to try and slow this deck down. And Tony does have counter energy, vacuum. Oh, and then Kai with the reset stamp to set Tony to a 3-card hand. I mean, even worse, right? I mean, I guess Tony's hand can't really get worse than it was. So maybe these 3 cards are better than the 5 or 6 that he had previously. And we'll see. I mean, Tony's got to find like research into like Force of Vitality in every Pokemon in his deck, including the whole Beautifly line. That is like the only way he doesn't lose instantly. Nope. You got a card like Unfair Stand. I'm going to be honest, I'm probably scooping here. Like, I think I've seen enough. Tony 3-0, but the wheels are just sputtering out with the grass deck now. I guess you never say never, because you say like, okay, well, what if I research into like the Force of Vitality and in my entire deck next turn? Like, okay, I guess. Got to give a chance for a miracle to happen. And Tony is like, nah, no miracles tonight, bro. Round 4 going to Kai Ho. With the fighting deck taking down Tony with the grass deck. Tony finished in the, I think, second place with the grass deck a few weeks back. The grass deck won GLC League last week. Now Kai looks like he will be playing for the win in the final round. The other matchup to watch is Mr. Ben Peacock versus John Patterson over here, as Ben Peacock is also 3-0, but got down paired to John. So John has an opportunity to play the role of spoiler. If John beats Ben and sets Ben to 3-1, then John would be 3-1, Ben would be 3-1, Tony would be 3-1, and then Kai would be the only 4-0. And then if Kai loses last round, then we have potentially some some 4-1s, you know, competing for resistance. Looks like Ben Peacock's got 5 prizes remaining. That is a lot of prizes remaining. Considering how, I mean, John's board is looking really established, to be honest. Peacock's board is looking way less good here, for sure. I can't see how many prizes John has, but I have to imagine it's less than 5. And it looks like, yeah, John just kind of going ham on this. Is that a Heatran? Meat dog! There he is in all his glory. With the Lana's fishing rod. Yo, John's playing the spice. He's got freaking metal core barrier and Lana's fishing rod, dude. Yo, sauce him up, John. Sauce him up. Yeah. Heatran gonna be laying into this Ralts. And Mimikyu, notably, Mimikyu cannot copycat this Heatran because the Heatran only does 80 damage. It does 80 more if it's got a fire attached. We see Mr. John Patterson has got the Prism Energy to satisfy that requirement. But unless Mr. Ben Peacock attaches Counter Energy to the Mimikyu. Counter Energy would do it. All right. I think we've got a clue as to how many prizes John has because it looks like Blacephalon's coming out. So it looks like John has 3 prizes. That's going to be my guess. And maybe Ben is looking for a 2-prize turn this turn to finish off the Iron Crown that he poked for 120. It looks like Mimikyu has copycatted the Iron Crown, hit it for 120. Show, what's up, Azul? Welcome, everybody from Azul's channel. We're checking in on Gym Leader Challenge League Night tonight here in Akron, Ohio. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for the raid, Azul. Welcome, welcome. We are streaming some Gym Leader Challenge League Night here in beautiful Akron, Ohio. We just finished our feature match for round number 4 of 5. We've got 20 players here tonight playing Gym Leader Challenge this evening. And we just saw Kai, who is here, win with his fighting deck over Tony with his grass deck. And now I've got an eye on the other undefeated of the night is Mr. Ben Peacock here with the psychic deck. Got down paired into John Patterson. John Patterson appears to be in the lead, though, with his metal deck. John Patterson is 2-1 right now. Ben Peacock is 3-0. So we're kind of whittling down to the final players here tonight for our Gym Leader Challenge League nights. Now, if you all are interested, we've got a 2004 tournament happening this Saturday, June 27th. We have a retro throwback event happening here at Full Grip Games, so I'm going to be streaming all day Saturday. Should be a ton of fun. And also our Pitch Black release weekend doubleheader happening July 18th and 19th here at Full Grip Games. So a lot of great live action Pokemon TCG tournaments coming up. Yo, Mark, Marsoc USA, always proud to be from Akron. You rep us proudly, Tricky Jim. Yo, thank you, Marsoc. Yo, let's freaking go. That's hype. Northeast Ohio, great place to be playing Pokemon cards. We got Dap in the chat, says, went 3-0 tonight at GLC League with Lo-Fi Water. Congrats, Dap. Congrats. What decks was Azul playing on stream tonight, folks? What's the hotness? My favorite standard decks right now are Pultnor and Hydrapple. Those are my 2. Pultnor and Hydrapple. If I was going to the Pitch Black, if I was playing in the Pitch Black 3K in July, I'd be playing Hydrapple. I think that Zoroark and Dragapult are like obviously very good right now, and I think that a lot of the best players in the game are going to be gravitating towards Zoroark and Dragapult. So I think I would be leaning Hydrapple as a deck that I feel like plays well into both of those. Playing bees, huh? I do think that Hydrapple is just a better Beedrill deck, to be honest. I know Beedrill has a lot of fans. I know people like the Beedrill deck, but Hydrapple is just better. I think that's... I don't know that that's a hot take. I think that's pretty cold, to be honest. But yeah, I like Hydrapple. Jesse's really been liking the Venusaur deck that got top 4 at the Japan Championships. Venusaur Meganium. I'm still not convinced, though he did sauce me up on stream on Wednesday with it. It looks like this game here is tied 3-3 prizes. I don't know. I think if Beedrill was good, it would have showed up at NAIC, right? Like, for sure it would. Like, why is Beedrill better than Hydrapple? You're also trying to set up, like, 3 stage 2s. Surely Hydrapple is just better at it. Is Hydrapple better than Venusaur Mega Meganium? I think Hydrapple is the premier Force of Vitality deck. Yes, I do. I've been testing it with Secret Box. I think that you can play special red card for hand disruption now. So I think my only beef with Hydrapple is that it has been like sometimes a little inconsistent. So I'm trying a Secret Box variant. It's like the new way to play it that I'm kind of working on. Because Secret Box should buff the deck's consistency a little bit, I feel like. Which I think that's like kind of all it needs. John is in a very good spot here. He's got the Heat Train in the active spot, swinging for 160 damage. He just put an HP buffing tool on it. I think that's either a Fighting Fury Belt or the Metal Core Barrier. Do I think Festival Lead is kind of crazy when Gladion comes out? I think Festival Lead sucks, personally. Dude, you want to beat Festival Lead? Just literally use boss's orders. Bring up one of the monkeys, and they don't do anything. It's so embarrassing. Anytime you want to, dude, Carp, you're killing us, Carp. You're freaking killing me, dude. Carp, I do love the Hops Trevenant deck. I do. Hops Trevenant is so sick. I don't think it's the best deck, but it is certainly a deck with a lot of swag. Yeah, I like Hector's top 32 list from Indy. Yeah, Hector is definitely dialed in on the Hydrapple. Well, I think one of the cool things about Secret Box is that you can play one of Festival Lead reliably, and you can use that to like play into single prize decks like Alakazam and stuff, and you can just go like a quick Diplin double attack. So I think the core of the Festival Lead deck is just, it's too gimmicky, right? And the fact that like your whole deck stops as soon as someone uses boss's orders on your monkey, I think there's just too many ways to finesse it. I also I hate that your Diplin doesn't naturally knock out Monkey Dory either. I know that you can play like the guys that boost your damage output to like deal with that a little bit better. Yeah, discarding things in the Hydrapple deck doesn't feel good. So you should probably play like 2 Lanas or something. Right? I don't know. Play a couple Lana's aids so you can get stuff back. The Festival Lead deck is fun. I wanted to be in love with the Festival Lead deck. I sunk a non-zero amount of time into it. I was certainly considering it early on in my testing for this format, but then the more time I put into it, the more disappointed I got. Unfortunately. The highs were high, but the lows were way too low. Way, way too low. I think John has 2 prizes left. Ben Peacock's 3. Honest take on Slow King. I mean, I think Slow King is a very high power level deck, but it's not a deck that I would ever play to a regional championship because it seems like a pile. I would never play Slow King, to be honest. That's my honest take. I would never risk my tournament run on a deck like Slow King. I do not. I value. Yeah, no. There's too many. My take is that there's too many bad cards in that deck. like the stadium that Slow King plays. Like that's innately a bad card. Curum, is also innately just like not a good card to like open, right? There's so many bad cards in the Slow King deck, if that makes sense. Ooh, this is a big play here from Ben. Like I said, my favorite decks in Standard right now are Pultnor and Hydrapple. Those are my favorite Standard decks. I think those are the best Standard decks. Like the ones that I would be most likely to play to a major tournament right now. I played Pultnor to Indy. If I were going to Worlds, I think I would be trying to play 1,000 games with Hydrapple between now and Worlds to have the perfect list. That's what I would be doing. And I would be trying to farm every tryhard with Zoroark and every tryhard with Pult. I would want to take a favorable matchup into all of them. And I think that Pult Blaziken is like the worst variant of Dragapult right now. I think Pultnor and straight Pult are both better. So I wouldn't be expecting to see a lot of Blaziken decks. Though I think that you can still kind of like go toe-to-toe with them regardless. Hammers and Pultnor, yeah, I think the Hammers are just too good. If you're going to play Dragapult, I think you have to play Hammers for the mirror, is just kind of the sad reality of it, yeah. Killing me, Carp. You're killing me. But best single prize deck. Now, that was a good question. What is the best single prize deck? Because I know Jesse was like high on Honchkrow. I think Honchkrow is fraudulent. That deck is like way too bricky. Doesn't beat Dragapult consistently enough. The problem with the single prize decks is that they don't beat Dragapult consistently enough. So I think like the best single prize deck is probably Alakazam. And maybe I am not totally sold on the hide and sneak deck from Pitch Black. It did get second place at the Japan Championships. So you kind of have to like consider it, right? You have to like take a serious look at the hide and sneak deck coming out because it got such a big finish at the Japan Championships. But from Jesse and I playing it, I mean, I was like 4-1 against him on stream yesterday, playing Pultnor against it. It was like just a slaughter because Pultnor is just broken, right? So that was just very easy to handle. Now we're looking at like manipulating the list and continuing to kind of like iterate on it. Does Typhlosion belong in the discussion for best single prize deck? No. I don't know. I played against Typhlosion. I played against Jose Marrero playing Typhlosion in my last round of Indy. I mean, it's a cool deck. It certainly can surprise you with how good it is sometimes. But I think there's too many prizing issues with it. I think there's too many like early turn setup issues with it. Oh, Crustle is the best single prize deck. But I guess Crustle has Kangaskhan in it. But Crustle's probably the best single prize deck, huh? Crustle or like Alakazam. I mean, I did predict that Slowking would top 8 NAIC, and it did. So, like, I believed in Slowking enough as a meta call for NAIC that I thought it would be popular enough and that somebody would pilot it well enough to break into top 8. And Ross Cawthon did, right? Now, Ross Cawthon is the type of guy who would play a Slowking deck, right? So maybe Slowking, maybe Alakazam, maybe Crustle. Those are like your top single prize decks, in my opinion. I mean, obviously Alakazam won Indy, Slowking top 4 at NAIC. Honchkrow is fraudulent, in my opinion. Doesn't actually beat Dragapult ever. So yeah, those are my takes on Standard. I've had fun playing Standard. I have. I know a lot of people like kind of bemoan, like Dragapult and stuff, but like just find the flavor of Dragapult that you like. Or find the deck that you beat Dragapult with all the time, right? Like, you just pick one of those two lanes. Those are the lanes we're driving in right now, right? Either find the flavor of Dragapult that you like, or find the deck that you beat Dragapult consistently with. And do not cope. Stop coping. Stop being like, I beat Dragapult with Honchkrow. No, you don't. Stop being like, I beat Dragapult with Festival Lead. No, you don't. Like, stop coping. Stop the cope. Stop the cope. Stop the cope. Stop the cope. Like, actually be honest with yourself. And then you will be happier with how you finish at tournaments. If you just be honest with yourself, right? There's too much cope going on out there. People thinking that they beat Dragapult when they actually have no shot. Or pick a deck that you find fun and accept that you won't win. I mean, I guess, but to me, losing repeatedly to the same deck over and over again is not fun. To me, that is miserable. I don't know. I always think that the concept of a fun deck, I think, is a myth, right? It's like, oh, the deck isn't good, it's fun. I don't know. Getting my teeth kicked in repeatedly is not fun. I think that is just like a big fat myth. I've never had fun while getting destroyed repeatedly. To me, there's nothing fun about queuing up against, like, if I'm like a good player and I'm queuing up with a bad deck against a player who I feel like I could outmaneuver, right? But their deck is just better than mine, so I lose because I'm playing a bad deck. That's just going to make me mad, not happy. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, I was close. Dang. Like, no, I'm just gonna be mad. Maybe that's just a character flaw with me, but that's kind of my feeling on all that. All right, now I think I saw Ben just kind of throw the cards out. That makes me think that John won this one, which would mean that Kai is the only 4-0, because Tony would be 3-1, Ben would be 3-1, and John would be 3-1, which means that Kai... Joe asking, yeah. And so Kai is going to get to play to defend his badge in this final rounds. Did Ben win? No, I think I just saw John nod over and say, yeah, I got it. I read his lips, bro. That was crazy. I think John won. Joe asking, am I starting to feel hype for producing the end-of-season GLC Standard Invitationals? I'm playing in the Gym Leader Challenge Invitational. I got a badge. I ain't producing squat there. But yes, I am. I'm actually extremely hype about the Pitch Black doubleheader happening in July. It's looking like it's going to sell out. So, like, that's going to be a really big hype tournament. And one of the reasons that I'm so hyped about the Pitch Black doubleheader is that it's happening in the middle of July. So, there's just like no other major event happening at that time, right? So like there's a lot of people signing up for it. It's looking like it's going to sell out. I think that's going to be an extremely hype event. So I'm very stoked about that. And then I'm also really stoked about the 5K Invitational. So anybody who finishes in the top 8 of any of our standard events or wins any of our league cups throughout the year, top 8's any of the standard 3Ks that we host, gets an invitation to a free 5K. We've got about 50 invitees so far. to this $5,000 cash tournament. Everybody who gets invited gets a free invite, free participation, and a chance to win thousands of dollars cash. So you can see there in the bottom corner, there are 3 ways to qualify. You can either be the winningest league player. That title goes to Dylan. He's won the most of our standard leagues this year. You could win or get the finals of any of our league cups, which our league cups are over. Those ended, a month or so ago. So, but there's still one more chance to qualify for the 5K happening in August. It is the weekend before Worlds. You could top 8 the Pitch Black 3K. So that is pretty exciting. I'm very stoked about that. It's going to be cool. We've never done a big invitational like that before. So it's going to be the first time that I've ever produced it. And I'm really excited that Full Grip just put up $5,000 for that. There's no entry fees. So there's no money being brought in for that. That's just Full Grip putting up $5,000 just for the players. Just as a thank you to players for competing in the, competing in our tournament series throughout the year. So I'm really stoked about that. Got SMF in Twitch saying I'm more hyped for the 2004 tournament. The 2004 tournament on Saturday is also going to be extremely hyped. I'm stoked to see if maybe Turbo Swampert defends its honor as the hot new deck in 2004 format. It's crazy that the meta is still being iterated on all these years later. But the Turbo Swampert deck is pretty cool. Show Nicholas with the $20 dono over on YouTube. Let's freaking go. Thanks, Nicholas. I really appreciate that. Nicholas says, what's funny is the July tournament is going to be my first ever big tournament. Pretty nervous about it. Super excited. Appreciate you guys putting it on. Yo, thank you, Nicholas, for the donation, for the support. Thank you for making the trip out to Full Grip Games. Yeah, we're really excited about it. I think that these cash events that we hold at Full Grip are just a really great opportunity for players to kind of step into the larger competitive scene. They feel like what state championships used to be like back in the day. If you've been playing or have heard about the history of the game, there used to be state championships which were held on the same weekends. So they literally were held in a way that nerfed their own attendance because they were intended to be state championships. People were not supposed to fly all around the world to go to state championships. You were supposed to attend your own state championship, right? And as a result, state championships usually had about 100 to 150 players at them. Smaller ones had more like 50, but big state championships would have 150 players at them. And they were a significant part of the world championship chase, back in the day, 2012 to 2016-ish, in there. All right, we're getting ready for our 5th and final round. Let's freaking go. Kai Ho on the right. JD DiMatteo on the left. JD playing water. Kai playing fighting. Getting the overlay set up. Kai is the only undefeated tonight so far at 4-0, but it is a 5-round tournament. We had 20 players tonight for our Gym Leader Challenge event. So if Kai loses, then it's going to come down to resistance to decide a winner. But if Kai wins, then he is guaranteed the fighting badge. Now I got Evan Wiki asking, what do I think about the new Marshadow in Pitch Black? Is it ban-worthy? I don't even remember what that card does. I cannot imagine that it is good enough to even be worthy of a ban conversation. I think I surely would recall what it did if it were a decent card. So my knee-jerk reaction is going to be no, but let me read it again. This attack does 30 damage times the number of colors in your opponent's active Pokemon retreat cost. No. Yeah, I understand that you can get like a turn 1. I understand that you can get like a turn 1, Galar Mine. Like, oh, I go turn 1 Galar Mine, and then I put a Gravity Gemstone on my Marshadow, and I hit him for a lot. Like, no. No. I mean, it's a fine Pokemon, but there's a lot of Pokemon in Gym Leader Challenge that do like an amount of damage for 1 energy. You know, some kind of, yeah. That's a very common thing. We're literally looking at a Soul Rock here that does 70 for 1. You know, with a much more reasonable condition. So Kai has got Soul Rock, Lunatone. Soul Rock in the active spot. Lunar Cycle, pass. JD's got Tate and Liza. Not the... Whoa! I don't know about that. I hate this play from JD. Wait, why did JD not bench... Why did JD not bench the... You bench the Basculin? I think, like, I would have preferred to see JD go... He, like, bench Basculin, Tate and Liza into the Basculin. At least bench the Basculin. I mean, going for 5 cards here is just so risky, right? I guess if JD's hand was dead, like, then you can't really Tate and Liza for nothing. But here's the stupid Basculin back. If you had just benched the Basculin, if you bench the Basculin, then that's 1 card that isn't Basculin that you draw into, right? Now, JD did find, like, lilies off of the Tate and Liza, so, like, is in a better spot with his hand, but absolutely, you bench the Basculin, right? Now, actually, I agree with not benching the Basculin now. Now that he's here. I think he should have benched the Basculin before the Tate and Liza. After the Tate and Liza, finding the Basculin again, now you actually hold, because you could probably deny Kai a prize by that. Because, like, Kai could just go, like, rope free knockout, right? Like, you don't need to do that. So I feel like benching the Basculin after the fact is just, you know, you're not going to, like, lose this turn probably. Because though it is possible to lose, you go Soul Rock, Strong Energy, Muscle Band, Premium Power Pro, game, right? Strong Energy, put Soul Rock, do a 90, plus Muscle Band, 110, plus Premium Power Pro, sign the slip, baby. We out of here. We out of here, baby. That is possible. Of course it's possible. But Kai is not going for that play, but it is possible. Kai is really not going for that play as he puts the U-turn board onto the Soul Rock. Now, I would have preferred to see Kai, you know, maybe give himself the option to draw into the play to end the game. But I still agree with JD not benching the Basculin after the Tate and Liza. Because at this point, you're like, help is on the way. I've got Lily's determination to go to 8. That's fine. And Kai's going to be popping this Kyogre for 70. And this is scary. Yeah, unit energy to the Ogie Dogie. Threatening 170 damage next turn. Soul Rock just going to punch the Kyogre. And, you know, JD's got to find some help. Thankfully, he's got the best draw card to enable it. And now the Basculin goes down. I think this is a fine time to put the Basculin down because you could retreat into the Basculin off this Lilies. So we're going to Lilies to 8. Kyogre does have a retreat cost of 3. So that's an expensive retreat. But that is just the price to play ball, really. If you want to get going in this game, you may have to retreat the Kyogre into Basculin. Basculin can gather the crew. We'll see what JD finds off these 8 cards. I did not see a lot of basic Pokemon there. I think we're going to be crew gathering. All right, we got Remoraid. I mean, because... Oh, and Wailmer. Okay, so that's pretty good. You still want to gather the crew to go get yourself, like, Snom and Frigibax. I think. Yeah, you kind of have to crew gather. It's annoying that you don't have bench space for Sobble. It is cool that he gets the training court for that energy back instantly, though. That's nice. Because it is kind of annoying having to ditch 3 energy for nothing. So at least does get to recur one of them and gather the crew. We'll go search for, I imagine, some combination of like Frigibax and Snom or Sobble, right? Now, Frigibax Snom is like the safe route because if Kai has Boss's Orders or Guzma, Kai will surely take out the energy accelerator. This is the risky route, right? Because you're going Sobble and Frigibax, and you're saying, please don't have Boss, Kai, please don't. Now, because we have a bird's eye view, we know that Kai does have the Boss's Orders in hand. So I imagine it's just going to be a windmill slam, bring up the Frigibax, knock it out type situation, which is why you kind of want to go Snom and so nasty. Parallel. I mean, horrible, right? The Parallel City into the Boss's Orders is like just a death knell for, oh my God, for the water deck. That's so tough. This kind of play here is just so brutal. You boss the Frigi. I mean, you just do this every time. Don't even think about it, guy. Don't even just windmill slam it. Slam that thing onto the table. Oh yeah, give me the Frigibax. Yeah, bring him up, dude. And now when you're JD, you're like, oh my God, how did I get myself here? This is just pain. It is pain and agony. Pure pain, pure agony. And this is part of what feels so bad about playing Hisuian Basculin. Actually, Kevin Baxter, top 8'd the last 3K with a water list that did not play Hisuian Basculin. Kevin and I worked on that list together, and I really like that list. I don't actually think you need Hisuian Basculin in the water deck. I think it's kind of a liability. And also, like half your starters don't even retreat into it easily. So I think we cut Hisuian Basculin for a capture energy, which arguably would have been way better for JD in that opening hand. Right? Like the capture energy would have been way better than the freaking Basculin. If you just like literally input a capture energy to where, because you started the Kyogre, right? So it's like you can't get into the Basculin easily. But the capture energy is like always live, right? So that was our thought. Well, now we're going to see if JD can pull a rabbit out of a hat to try and make some magic work. He's down a prize, paralleled, bench limited. But where there is a whale, there is a way, Wailord is just the biggest dog in Gym Leader Challenge format, 240 hit points. Its Hydro Pump attack does 210 damage for 4 energy. That is very good. Ooh, Silent Lab find off of the Iono. That's big because JD did also find Buddy Buddy Poffin, so if Snom is in the deck, maybe Snom is not in the deck. Maybe Snom is prized. That certainly could be a reason why JD went Frigibacks. Buddy Buddy Poffin, is Snom in the deck? Snom is not in the deck, no. So Snom's prized. That's why JD went Frigiback Sobble, which makes sense. Soul Rock is a card that, or the Lunatone does get turned off. Wow, okay, price Sobble and backs. That's pretty brutal, right? And then we see JD is attaching the water energy to the Sobble, and that's kind of why, right? Because JD is without Snom and Baxcalibur. So you have to play a way to fix that issue. Now, JD does play away. He's got Hisuian Heavy Ball. So really, Hisuian Heavy Ball is kind of a fixer in this situation, as it can allow JD to go get the Snom out of the prizes and still accelerate energy into play. But now that JD has played Town Map, he can't use Hisuian Heavy Ball. So JD has put himself in a position now where he has to take a prize card in order to get an energy accelerator into play, which is very bad for JD. That is not a good position for him to be in, because he is behind on his board state. He is behind on energy attachments. I mean, in order for him to get... He could hypothetically take a knockout this next turn if he goes Rare Candy into Inteleon, I guess. That's like a hypothetical possibility if he were to top deck into Irida. JD is also getting turbo punished for discarding the Remoraid, because he ended up drawing into Octillery but discarded Remoraid off of the Parallel City, and now doesn't have that ability to draw cards with the Octillery. Where Kai is just kind of cruising through this game unimpeded. He's got the Ogie Dogie on the bench, ready to roll. It's got an effective 230 hit points. It's doing 170 damage. And it's just part of what makes fighting so good right now, is that is just so easy to set up, right? I mean, it's a basic Pokemon. You put a rainbow energy on it, and you're cruising. And it's just such an insane high power level card. And now Kai is going to get to take this knockout with Ting Lu. He actually has the information that JD has prized his Manaphy. So the coast is clear to Ground Crasher for the knockout. With the strong energy, Ground Crasher doing an extra 20 damage, take the knockout on the Basculin. And Ground Crasher can spread damage to the Whalmer, making it easier to eventually knock out if it should ever evolve into Wailord. We do have Arctibax, Verseeker, probably for Lilies for JD. And JD is looking for a miracle. Needs it to be like Rare Candy, Inteleon, Muscle Band. I mean, you could go Muscle Bands, Rare Candy, Inteleon, right? Then you, off the Rare Candy, Inteleon, you find Scoop Up Net to remove the Wishy Washy, and Muscle Band to knock out the Tinglu. That's the move. But you got to find it. He did not find it. Narrator voice. He did not find it. He's got it next turn. He could Irida next turn. But this turn, he does not have it. So this turn, he's just got to buy a little bit more time. He may not have that time. The guy's got a pretty big hand, pretty intimidating board. It's going to be a quick ball fail for JD. And a pass. Again, JD can take this, can take a knockout next turn, I guess. Ooh, Kai has Hariyama in hand too. Just brutal, right? Because with Hariyama, you could just go Hariyama, heave ho catcher, bring up the Sobble, and just knock out the Sobble with Ground Crasher. But you do need a stadium. And JD is out of here. All right, Kai Ho is the winner tonight. 5-0 with the fighting deck. Congratulations to Kai on taking it all down with fighting. Just a very aggressive deck. And you can see just why it is so powerful with its quick aggression there. Kai just had to pedal to the metal and was able to pull out the win. 5-0 with the fighting deck. I think that might be Kai's first badge of the season. Take a look at our badge board over here. Every time one of our league players wins with a different deck, they earn a badge. The first badge you win in the season, you get a league card, which you can keep track of your badge performance throughout the year. So GG's Kai. Looks like that is going to be his first badge of the season, so very exciting. He has also earned an invite to the Gym Leader Challenge Invitational, which will be happening the same weekend as our standard Invitational coming up this summer. As you can see here at our summer event sneak peek. The 2026 Standard Invitational 5K is happening Saturday, August 22nd. No entry fee, invite only. And the 2026 Gym Leader Challenge League Invitational is happening Sunday, August 23rd. No entry fee, badge holders only. Also, you see Natalie put on here an expanded cash tournament coming summer 2027. Any expanded fans out there, start gearing up your expanded collection. We're going to be looking to host a large cash expanded event next summer here at Full Grip Games. Will be the first of its kind that we have ever hosted. I think just a fun opportunity for people to explore the expanded formats in a competitive setting, something that hasn't really occurred here in the United States in quite some time. So excited about that. Should be a lot of fun. That's going to do it for me tonight, folks. Y'all take it easy and have a great night. I'm actually going to take off streaming tomorrow and then stream the 04 tournament on Saturday. I have a YouTube video that I'm working on editing, and I really want to get it done. I also feel like I'm kind of starting to lose my voice a little bit, and I want to save my voice for the tournament on Saturday. So I'm going to be streaming all day Saturday, the 2004 Retro Tournament. And tomorrow I'm hoping to finish a YouTube video that I started on the fossils in the Pokemon trading card game, also talking about the new fossils from Pitch Black. So look forward to that. And that's going to do it for me. Guys, all have a great night. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Azul again for the raid. Thank you to the sponsors, Full Grip Games and Dragon Shield, for supporting the content. And thank you all